Ladies and gentlemen, we are here. We are back one more time for the HTCC Season 2 finale. And I am personally in the hot seat, but back by popular demand, I do also have Sappy on call. Sappy, say hello to the viewers.
You tried to get rid of me, you can't do it. Hello, everyone. It's good to be here. And good to be back for the season finale.
Yeah, I'm glad we were able to make it happen. You know, we kind of did the trade-off in the middle of the season there, and then everybody loves a good Sappy cast. So we decided to pull you back for the last round, and I'm very excited to have you here. It's fun. It's always fun. It's fun streaming and casting with anybody, but it's especially fun with you, Sappy. So I'm looking forward to this one. Looking forward to the last race. This is gonna be a good one.
You're gonna make me blush at this point. I'm looking forward to it just by the fact alone that while we may have some championship fights that are all but wrapped up, of course we have Mars at the top and he's wrapped things out on the split one side of things. We've got massive mix-ups around the rest of the split. So split 1, 2, 3. It's all going to be pretty hot out there tonight.
Yeah, the podium is the number 3 spot is definitely still up for grabs tonight. Yeah, like Sappy just said, number 1, Mars got it. Mars took it. He's got the mathematical victory at the moment, but yeah, the rest of the grid is still anybody's game. Also, who said it? Kyle said, can I put a picture of Sappy up? And I actually do have one prepared. Hold on. There we go. I don't know if Sappy has seen this yet. I do have the Sappy and Yappy.
Pull out the business picture and everything.
I know it. Yeah, one of the mods, KS, sent that to me, and I figured I had to throw it up. But with that, guys, let's pull it right over to the track specs. We're doing a little hokey hoshi sandwich here for season 2. We started with a track by me, Tsukuba Circuit, and we are finishing with another one of my own creations here, a much newer one, Red Bramble Raceway. And this one has not really seen any competitive racing as far as I know yet. It's a little bit new to the scene, relatively new track. It's the only one I've done on the event lab. But I think it's going to be a fun one. I think it's a good contrast to some of the other tracks we've had. You know, last week at Majone, super tight, super technical, and then this kind of blows that all up. And this is big, open, wide, really fast track. And I think a lot of opportunities to get some passes going here. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to see how the drivers do on this one.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well. I mean, you know best since it's your track and where the action is going to be. But I'm very excited purely on the fact that, as you said, this is new. This hasn't really seen any road time in a major way on the competitive side of the scene. So this is, barring of course practice and qualifying, is going to be a very new experience, and it's going to be something very interesting that the drivers are going to have to handle. I mean, we've seen that in quali. We've seen some of the time splits and the spread be very condensed in some places. Then you've got a few who have just managed to get some major breakaways on the timing boards. So I'm curious, especially when we get through to see the guys in split 2 and then split 1 after, what kind of time they're able to find on this track, where they're really able to push the limits.
Yeah, this is definitely one where I think we're going to see drivers learning live on the track and, you know, picking up some pace possibly and learning for their own sake where the right spot is to make a pass. It's got a, I think one of the spots to watch is definitely going to be the final 90-degree right-hander coming onto the start-finish straight. There's a very long back straight coming into, I think, pretty much the tightest corner. It's still relatively fast in the grand scheme of things, but a relatively tight 90-degree. And I think that is going to be a spot where we're definitely going to be seeing some action. And yeah, as you guys are going to see, it's a fairly wide track, so there's a lot of space for drivers to make some moves, and it's going to be tough to defend as well because, you know, there's not just kind of one super thin racing line kind of through the whole track. There's a lot of space. There's a lot of alternative options, a lot of alternative lines. So I hope that we're going to be seeing a lot of side-by-side racing here because this track is definitely built for it.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of drivers try and push the limits early on. Of course, you've got everyone who's going to be closely packed together. They're going to be wanting to try and get a bit of a breakaway from the rest of the split. And I mean, looking at some of the quali times here, it looks like we might even have a tale of two packs as we head through. So I'm looking at the spreadsheet here. I'm looking at the Bramble quali. You've got Silver Corolla, who is up ahead and got the fastest time of split 2. It's 24.854. But then you have a couple of times that are fairly close, and then they gap themselves out quite significantly. So you stretch all the way down to 3.2 seconds, a 26.9 from Gaviol at the bottom end of the split. And I think we're going to see a few of those drivers who are at the top end try their best to just get a clean break, get those first couple of laps, go a little bit more aggressive than they're otherwise comfortable with, just to see themselves find a bit of an opening.
Yeah, absolutely. I do agree. You know, we've got a little bit wider of a spread here as far as quali times go. And yeah, I do think this might be a case where, especially on such a fast, high-speed track, we might see the pack split up a little bit into a couple different sections. I think we're going to see drafting play a really big role here, just because, again, of how fast the track is, how easy it's going to be, I think, for drivers to stick close to other drivers. So, yeah, I'm excited to see this one. I do want to get a quick check-in here from Mag or one of the other race controllers, is how close we are to getting started. I can pull this up on screen here. We can see, let me get a quick refresh. And it looks like we've got most of our drivers live. Looks like everybody's live. Unfortunately, last minute, Troot was going to be racing here in Split 2. But I was reading in the driver's chat that I think his dishwasher started leaking and pouring water into his kitchen, which is definitely a bit unfortunate. So we're going to be down Troot, which is a bummer. But yeah, it looks like we've got everybody else kind of ready and grouping up here to get started.
I was like, you can't really wait around when it comes to that kind of thing. So 100% understand and hope it all gets fixed for you, mate. It's like one of the more elaborate dodge excuses, but we'll take it for the creativity on this one.
Yeah, I know. Points for uniqueness on that one. You know, we have all these people say, "Oh, work schmirk," but I like the "my kitchen is flooding" excuse. That's one I haven't heard yet.
Yeah, well, that's we're gonna add that one to the tally. Of course, it has been used up, so. To the rest of the drivers who are looking to dodge in the future, you're going to have to come up with some new creative material. Best one gets a paper plate with a crayon drawing of it of a smiley face.
Yeah, the Troot has really set the bar high here for the excuse level. I think so. But yeah, it looks like we've got a convoy of 9 here. Looking for a convoy of 11. I see Bonnie looks like they're still booting up. A couple drivers still just getting ready. So we'll hang tight here. I'll just leave this screen up for now, so we can kind of get a quick look at some of the drivers as they. Actually, you know what? Let me pull this up here. Get a nice cinematic view here. Everybody, I don't know who this is. Hold on. Oh, Luke. Luke joining our production here and giving us a nice pan of some of the liveries. And I do have to say, one of my favorite things about this whole league has been the liveries. I mean, we relaxed the livery restrictions a little bit here for Season 2 and just kind of let people do whatever they wanted to do. All you really need is an HTCC banner and your number on the side. And drivers have just gotten so creative with it. And I gotta say, I'm amazed with how just artistic everybody is with their liveries. I mean, everyone's really just pulled out all the stops. It's amazing.
I think it's an unsung hero of these kind of events, to be honest. Like, the livery design goes so much, especially if you're fostering teams, especially if you're trying to sort of build a bit of an identity for yourself. The livery can absolutely make or break it. So I'm personally a big fan of less livery restriction, and I think it hit a really good balance here. So barring, say, some baseline identification like the driver number and like the HTCC banner, everything else being fair game, it's opened up the opportunities, opened up the floodgates for a ton of different designs. And say, all of the livery designers who came in, and whether it was your first livery or your 100th, the cars are looking amazing. And this is the kind of livery restriction style that I'm certainly a big fan of for this exact reason. I mean, look at the different variations. You've got everything from very sort of race style official liveries to almost art house cars, like we've seen the old BMW art cars and the GT2. It's such a unique breadth of design, and I love it.
No, I couldn't agree more. It's been so fun seeing everyone, and I'll say personally, as someone who's not very artistic, and every time I sit in front of a car with my blank canvas, I just never know where to start, and I can't quite put something together. But these drivers, obviously, it's fun to watch the driving, but it has been just so fun for me to see all their unique styles with it. I mean, like you said, some of them you can see on the left here, the Elgato car, like big sponsor, very racecraft kind of, or race style livery. And then, yeah, you've got, I don't know who it is, there's a gold car in the middle here that is very, art house style. Oh, here we go. We've got, again, Bonnie helping out with production here, kind of getting the scan through. Cars that are taking a much more artistic approach with it. And everyone, you can see drivers even customizing the banner itself, which is, above and beyond for the whole thing. There's that gold livery. There you go. Such a cool livery. I'm loving it. So it looks like, folks, we are just waiting, I think, on one more person. I see 10 in convoy at the moment. Shout out. Oh, did I say... I said Bonnie, but I think I meant Luke. Luke, by the way, has been the POV we've been on. I apologize to Bonnie for that.
Camera car of the day. Car. Coming in.
Shout out Luke for that.
A beautiful sort of opening shot of the final race of the season. I'm looking at the points as well. That's the other thing I'm sort of trying to keep a trace on. And the thing that stands out to me is that with a lot of drivers on this board, it can sometimes get a little bit lost in translation. But the points gaps between a lot of them here are sometimes as small as just a couple of points. I mean, I'm looking at I'm looking at Dan here, for instance. It's 126 points, which is directly equal to Bear. And even then, only a couple of points adrift of Bonnie there as well. So you've got all of these different fights happening around the championship table, and you really don't know where it's going to end up.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see over the course of 5 and now about to be 6 races. The point totals get pretty high, but there are so many positions that are a complete toss-up between the two drivers, where this last race, you can definitely get into a situation in these leagues where as the league goes on and as the races progress, the drivers just get more and more kind of separated, and everyone kind of fits into their lane a little bit. And we've certainly seen that to a certain degree. Obviously, Mars has dominated the league and kind of run away with it. But yeah, like you said, going further down the grid, you see so many positions that are completely up for grabs here on this last race. And it's exciting knowing that coming into the final race of the season, we still are very likely going to see a lot of swaps in position for the overall leaderboard.
for every Mars that there is on the board, of course, scary things never finished outside of the podium. You look at that sheet,
Yes.
never outside of the podium, which is insane level of consistency.
It is.
But for every Mars, there's going to be another racer. There's going to be a Dark, for instance, who's just a couple of points away from being technically overtaken by Aston. It was really strong performance at Magione. That put them right in striking distance of that top 5. So those kind of things that are going to be really heating up. But to the 94 drivers who registered for HTCC, I mean, thank you. It's been awesome.
Absolutely.
To see all the racing unfold.
No, it has been it's been such a blast. It's been such a treat to come back for a second season here. And I am getting word from Magnus that it looks like the lobby is ready to go. So with that, I'm going to jump over to the driver cam, and we'll get ready for the first race of the day here.
Okay, well, so you got the first race and then the reversey. I think we're going to have a big old swap around.
Oh, whoops.
Wait a minute.
Oh, whoops, how'd that get on there?
Are you calling me out here?
No, that is purely personal. Just, I had to Google my...
I'm feeling the personal here.
Had to Google my hometown, I'm going to pan through here and get all the POVs ready. You can see we've got Phantom on the ultra wide. Make sure that's all good to go. I think we're set. Let me one more here. There we go. All right, able to hot swap between them. As you can see, the drivers are loading in, and with that, let's see, who do we want to start on? Sappy, what do you like? I always prefer starting on a POV from somebody in the middle of the pack. Do you have a different take on that? What's your opinion there?
I like to start mid-pack as well, but we can afford to start maybe towards the rear this time because we might get a really good shot ahead of some of the chopping and changing as well as some of the fights at the back, because you're going to have squabbles at both sides. I'm
with you on that one. I think for now we're going to start here with Gav's POV, and Gav is starting at P12, or rather P11, I suppose, today on the grid because we are just down Troot. So I think that's the way to go. This is I've been talking a lot about how this is a fast track and it's pretty wide, but I think that's not only going to matter for racing, but it also is it changes the casting and POV perspective because we're going to get a nice wide good view of a lot of the racing here. We're going to be able to see a lot of the drivers on grid, I think, at one time.
Well, we're loading in now, and there we go. We are trackside. Looks to be stable.
Fantastic. Yeah, looks like everybody's in.
And going to get things moving. Only a single link in this lobby. It's completely dominated by the Hyundais and the MGs. We're actually seeing a lot more MGs on than usual because I'm conditioned to seeing only maybe like one or two of them.
Yeah, no, it's funny how unfavored the link has been this time around. I think a lot of people wanted to go with the MG because the MG did perform well in the first season. Mars won with the MG last season. And then, of course, the Elantra has been a pretty top pick just because it's new for season 2 here. And it does, I've driven all the cars myself, and the Elantra's got a good feel to it. But, we've brought this up in previous races. The Link does have a checkpoint advantage because the Link, for whatever reason, has a slightly wider hitbox and can just push those checkpoints a little bit further, a little bit harder. So yeah, I always root for the Link just because it seems to be a bit of an underdog.
Yeah, well, you've got the three sort of distinct characteristics of the cars, haven't you? You've got the Elantra, a solid all-rounder. You've got the wild card of the Link's hitbox, and then the MG, I think, is a little bit more potent when you sort of open up on the throttle.
Absolutely.
So it's that trade-off, isn't it? And, of course, drivers got to choose their cars wisely because they are, for the most part, committed to their choices.
Yes, yeah. For those who don't know, you pick a car at the start of the season, and then you are locked into that car for the season. I would say barring a couple of exceptions, but I think actually everybody has stuck with their car from the start of the season. Also, I just want to do a quick check here. Okay, it does look like Gav... Whoops, that's the Yap screen. Does look like Gav is lacking audio here. So... We'll have to jump around, but we'll still start on Gav. I want to get the I like the ultra wide POV here, and then the POV from the back of the grid is going to give us a really good look into what happens in turn 1, which is like I've been saying, a relatively fast corner. We don't have anything too tight really anywhere on the track, so hopefully drivers should be able to keep it pretty clean, keep it pretty quick, and again, I don't want to caster's curse anybody, but we shouldn't see too many misses on this one, and hopefully we don't see too much contact here either.
I'll say hopefully not too much in the way of chaos, but
yes,
we are going to be getting things set, getting things rigged. We're going to be coming up to the final corner, so everyone's lining up in double file now. It's going to be a mad dash, because remember, as soon as we cross that start-finish line, everyone's going to be gunning for it. And yep. I think that we are going to see quite a few sends down the inside in particular.
I agree.
They're going to try and fight side by side, and if not turn 1, then turn 2. But enough of that now. Let's see, as they are going full core, full push. It's 2, 3, 4 wide, potentially towards the back end. It's Gabriel going side by side, trying to immediately gain a bit of position. You can see further up, Luke is also going to be consumed in the smoke plume as the cars remain double wide throughout the entire first sector of the circuit. Bonnie trying to hang on as best they can. You've got Sunken on the inside. You've got quite a battle as well going to the front end, and struggling a little bit as well because they are in interior cam. They're not going to have the same spatial awareness. They're just going to have to rely a bit more on their intuition.
Absolutely, yeah. Drivers keeping it pretty clean here on the first lap. Lots of early action, lots of mix-up. We did see Gav get a pass there on Hootie, but then ended up getting passed back. I'm going to take this opportunity to move actually up here towards the Luke POV, which yeah, there we go. Looks like we're good. Luke currently sitting in P4. Looks like Silver Corolla did get a bit of an early breakaway. We do see Luke trying to scoot up on the inside, get a pass on Sunken there, and might actually lock that one in. Yeah, gets into a podium position, scooting up the inside of the penultimate corner. And now here we come down the final straight, coming into the 90. Looks like Luke running a little bit wide, going up onto the dirt there, and then gets passed by Sunken, J-Call, and Bonnie. A 3 wide there. That is going to hurt for Luke, but it's not over yet. Here we've got Noctrion coming up. Wow, great move there from Luke, passing Sunken yet again. We're seeing lots of back and forth action here towards the mid-pack, while it looks like Silver Corolla is continuing to break away. We'll see if Oceanics can maybe do anything about that.
So he's going to be getting the elbows out, like we were saying at the start. And Corolla was the leader in qualifying by over 1/10 of a second compared to Oceanics, who's holding the ground in P2. So both of them trying to get that early break, let the drivers fight for themselves, because all of that attacking and defending is just going to leave them wide open to time losses. Luke in particular, he's been the victim of a couple of dives, I think, in the first lap, so he's maybe trying to send a bit of a message to the other drivers that he's not going to take that line down. And while he's now on the chase for J-Call, he's going to be going very aggressive on some of those lines, barely keeping it within the checkpoints, trying to get the bit of the switchback here. It's going to be a good move there. Great positioning as they're now firing their way down. A solid run, and it's going to be Luke who is going to tee it up for not 1, but potentially a 2nd, aiming it towards the inside, going for it, and it looks like we might see a double.
Fantastic recovery there from Luke, and I think that is exactly what this track is built for. When you see these, when you get these wider lines and a lot of kind of alternative options for your racing line, you're going to see a lot of back and forth action, especially with the drafting. Yeah, here you can see Luke leading the pack here. outside of Oceanics and Silver Corolla, who are, again, just kind of breaking away. And with that, I think I'm going to jump towards possibly the middle of the pack here. Let's maybe move over and get a first-person POV from Bonnie here. Get a little bit of in-car action in the middle of the pack and see what can keep happening with these fights, because all these drivers are very, very close together at the moment.
Yeah, just looking for any kind of chances to go for it. Of course, you can go on the attack, but it's about the timing. It's about being able to make that move stick that is going to count here. Like, for instance, we got Bonnie as well, currently sat in P5, who's peeking on J-Call there. They're trying to see if they can go for anything. They're trying to see what opportunities can be afforded as they are chasing as best they can for a chance. Unfortunately, going to be dropping back a fair bit as we head now down into the end of the fourth lap. And even having a little bit of a wobble, scrubbing some speed. This could be a chance for the likes of Sunken and Dan just behind to go for a peak. Remains committed to the racing line. Sunken down the inside, barely keeping the nose in there. You can just about get it on the rear view mirror. But maybe going for a switchback here. This is going to be a little bit of a test of nerves as Bonnie is on the defensive from not one but two drivers. And they're being very wary of the space. That's Sunken on the inside. A little bit of contact between them, and is going to get the run out. And oh, a bit of contact into the checkpoint, maybe say a bit of the space not quite being afforded, or at least going a bit aggressive there. But Sunken's got P5, and Bonnie's going to have to make a difficult decision between attacking Sunken or going a bit smoother to try and regain composure and hold off Dan.
Yeah, like you were saying earlier, it's definitely a bit of a different play style running on the first-person camera. We've been seeing him kind of trying to decide whether or not he wants to commit into those corners. He's checking on the inside, seeing where Sunken is. Obviously, Sunken was able to get the move there, possibly having to do a little bit with just having a little bit of that spatial awareness going. And now Bonnie here under fire from Dan. And I just want to give a quick swap over here because it looks like Bonnie's going to hold onto it coming into lap 6. And I'm going to jump over to Noctrion towards the back of the pack. We'll kind of check in here. Noct and Gav were side by side just a moment ago, but Gav was able to pull ahead. Gav now chasing down Hootie. You can see Noct getting a little bit of the rear end out there in turn 2, and that is going to give Track Day STI the chance to get up on the inside, and it looks like Noct maybe trying to go a little bit wide, maybe go for a switchback there, or he might have just been kind of giving Track Day the position, and Track Day locks in that P10.
Well, looks like we've seen a miss there. That's J-Call. They just missed a second ago, and they're going to be demoted all the way down into P11. They went too aggressive on the inside of the second sector, and that is going to be tough to pull back from, as they are just behind Noct now, and Noct himself is kind of struggling a little bit to keep the pace up. He was running a negative delta through the first sector, but he's dropped about a second since. I think he's struggling a little bit to find his position on track and really get into a bit of a flow state.
Absolutely, yeah. I was saying this before the races started, but I think this is definitely a case where we're going to be seeing these drivers doing a lot of on-track learning and adapting their lines and adapting their pace, hopefully improving their pace throughout the race. And we'll see if that happens here with Noct. Noct getting a bit of a run on Track Day, but going up on the outside, coming into turn 1. Let's see if that's going to pay off for him. Ends up running maybe a little bit too wide. Braking pretty late, though, getting a good exit out of turn 2 here, and is actually going to be ending up side by side on the inside coming into the next corner. Let's see if he can make this stick. Going to be having to slow down a little bit. Sticks to the inside, but looks like, I was going to say, looks like he might have had it, but Track Day now on the inside. Gets a better run out of the last corner, and Track Day takes it back. Beautiful moves from both drivers, keeping it clean and swapping back and forth. You can see Noctrion currently running a pretty dang good pace. Gets a little bit of a contact there from Jay Call. Looks like it's not going to hurt him too much, though. And we'll see if he can make another move on track day here. I am, for the moment, going to move further back up the pack here because we do have some action happening here with Bonnie, Dan, and Sunken. This has not let up one bit since we've kind of swapped off their POV. We have Sunken and Dan kind of battling it out here. A lot of side-by-sides, and then Bonnie just giving us that good POV, lagging a little bit behind, but absolutely able to capitalize on the battle, as you can see here, closing the gap already.
I'm looking on Sunken's side of things, and the thing I'm noticing a lot is just how much they're checking their quarters. Looking back, looking to the sides, especially through the last lap where Dan did try and go side-by-side through a couple of corners. It maybe sort of speaks to the confidence level and how they're not as comfortable with putting on a defense as some of the other drivers on this track might be. And it's almost constant that they're looking back, constantly checking where the other driver is, and sometimes this is resulting in putting themselves offline, which is actually what is causing them to lose time and be reeled in by the other two.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is just one of those cases where racecraft really matters so much, and you can see when a driver is just not quite as confident in their line, not quite as confident about, you know, when they should defend, when they should go on the attack. And I think we're seeing that a little bit where Sunken is being put under pressure here, currently sitting in a pretty good position, P4, but definitely not too safe with both Dan and Bonnie kind of chomping at the bit right behind him. And that's going to put the pressure on, and that can make or break a driver for sure. So we'll see if Sunken can hold on to that, kind of just lock in a little bit and focus up and focus on the improving his own pace while he doesn't have a driver on his side. And speaking of, it looks like, I was going to say maybe Bonnie's going for it. Bonnie might be going on the outside here. I saw Dan get pushed a little bit outside, lost grip a little bit, and Bonnie's going to be right up on his side here, just enough to get up on the inside on turn 3. We'll see if he can make anything of it. Dan running a little bit wide. Looks like Bonnie getting a good pass. You can see checking his side. You can see him just the front wheel there. Looks like Dan claws it back, though, and is able to hold on to P5 just for now. But that is not a safe position whatsoever. Bonnie now coming up on the outside, seeing if he can do anything here. Again, checking his side view, seeing where Dan is, and is going to have an advantage, but Dan just has the corner. Great close driving from both of these drivers.
Bonnie needs to just play the mind game. We saw it at the start of the lap, and we saw how he almost baited Dan into a bit of a switchback situation. Just needs to play that game a little bit more. Dan's not focused on Bonnie. Dan is focused on trying to close the gap to Sunken right now. And they are going to be seeing how Sunken is maybe deviating off their line, making a little bit of mistakes, and like we were saying before, getting a little bit nervous. Dan is going to be on the racing line, and that's going to be defending by proxy. So what Bonnie needs to do here is just let those two play it out. And then you can see right here is going to be a chance here for Sunken to drop the ball. Dan is going to get up ahead. And these two fighting is going to be the opportunity that Bonnie needs. Oh, big contact it looks like between them. There you go. That's the chance. And Sunken now into P6. Bonnie into P5. Now he can focus on going high aggression if he wants that P4.
Absolutely. Yeah, Dan was just focused in, went for it. And yeah, unfortunately that contact there in turn 3 pushing Sunken back and giving Bonnie the opportunity to capitalize. And now we'll see, without Sunken kind of in the way there for Dan, we'll see if Dan can break away from Bonnie or if Bonnie is able to hold on here while both drivers try to potentially push up towards the podium. We're entering the second half here, and as you can see, Bonnie going for a late break. It doesn't look like it pays off, unfortunately, just a little bit too late. But you can see he has taken every chance he can to make a move. Unfortunately, that one didn't pay off. Dan, probably a good maneuver there, skirting around, avoiding any sort of incident, and now locking back into that P4 position.
Now we can also see and appreciate just the amount of gap that the top 3 have managed to pull. Corolla,
yes,
Oceanics, Luke, they've all been able to turn this into a near perfect race for themselves. They haven't had any challenges, and where this track really leans itself towards battling a bit more, they've been able to get away. They're still lapping around in the 125, so about a second slower than they normally are in qualifying. But because they're undisturbed, they can do that consistently. They're not being dropped down to the 6s, the 7s, having to fend off another car and compromise their lines. That's why the three of them have all got their own pocket of space and effectively are just in hot lap mode now. We've crossed over the halfway point, and it's going to take a lot to reel them in to the rest of the field. Bonnie, Dan, Sunken, they're in their own fight. You've got Hootie, J. Cole, Noct. They are also going to be potentially checking on each other's quarters in the next couple of laps or so. Track days is going to be much further away from the field, unfortunately, but hopefully can recover. And we are just starting to see the grid segment out quite significantly now.
Yeah, everyone's starting to kind of sit into their positions. It looks like the podium spot is pretty locked out as long as Corolla, Oceanics, and Luke can continue to just sit in that hot lap mode, focus up, and just maintain their line and maintain their pace. Time is definitely closing in on any opportunity to catch up. I've got to say, I think it's pretty locked in for the top spots, but definitely still some action here happening in the middle of the pack. Any sort of mistake is going to give any of these drivers, even though we're seeing them spread out a little bit, there's definitely an opportunity for an off-track moment or a little bit of lack of grip, and that is just going to give any one of these drivers the chance to close that small gap. You can see Gavi behind as well, not too far behind, as well as Hootie, not too far behind Gav there. We've got a pretty close mid-pack for the middle of the race.
Well, eyes on Noct as well, as they're chasing J. Cole down and are actually getting pretty close to a potential move. So they were peaking throughout the start of lap 12, and they're just trying to see what J. Cole's doing. Like, watch how he responds to where J. Cole places his car. You can see he goes very wide. He tries to keep a little bit narrower here. He's just making sure that if anything happens, he's got the space afforded so he can jump on a chance at any time. Peels out as much of the speed as he can, but getting much closer now to the back of the other Elantra. Is he going to tee something up into the final corner? I don't think so. It's going to be certainly risky if he is, but oh, sees peels up to the left. He's still a bit earlier on the brakes. He's choosing to keep it safe for now. I think with the amount of peel out to the left, he actually could have at least put a bit more pressure on J. Cole, because right now he's able to get away a bit further, but he's certainly reeling him back in just as quick as he gets off. Because look at the difference in lines here and just how much space has been regained in a couple of corners.
Yeah, you know, we saw him, you know, play a bit of an inside line there, not quite go as aggressive as he could have on J-Call, but as you can see, J-Call going a little bit wide, and Nocturne's just going to be able to position himself, setting himself up right. We'll see if he can kind of get that inside line. Ends up running actually a little bit wide there, and J-Call is able to maintain his position back up in front, but Nocturne is able to close that gap. We've been seeing that now. Any mistake that he makes, he just gets right up there. It's just going to be a matter of committing to a move at the right time and seeing if he can make it stick. You can see him again running the inside, late break. And we'll see. We're going to be running potentially side by side down the back straight. Looks like Noct does potentially have the advantage here. Yeah, has the position for now. And it is going to be J-Call's opportunity to see what he can do. Maybe force Nocturne to the inside a little bit. Make sure that he doesn't get a super great exit. Yeah, good move there. Nocturne still side by side with J-Call. J-Call now on the inside, though. And we'll see if J-Call can hold on to that. Doesn't make it stick in turn 1, and then Nocturne's going to have the advantage here in turn 2. And Nocturne might be able to have this one in the bag, but no. J-Call, great exit there out of turn 2, and is able to actually put some pressure on Nocturne from the outside. Forces Nocturne inside, probably forces him to brake a little bit heavier just to avoid some contact and stick on his line. And we'll see here, J-Call. Oh no, big slide there from Nocturne. That is going to hurt. J-Call playing very confidently there, not giving up anything, and it shows in the position. Wow, great driving.
Yeah, it's a great battling from the two of them for about a lap and a half, but it's the same corner 2 laps in a row that Noct just loses a bit of the grip, loses the back end side last time out, and how he just scrubbed a bit too much speed there. Could have got the switch back heading into the final sector, but unfortunately was proximity and still going to keep the pressure up. But he's going to have to start thinking about how much he wants to push with this move. We're coming up to lap 15 now, and some of our drivers are already on it. So he's running out of time to make a concrete move and to make it stick. We see a little bit of a better line through the final corner. He could set himself up akin to lap 13 here, but time will, of course, tell. Having to leave the space, not wanting to account for too much networking and netcode, but allowing J. Cole a little bit of space. I think too much there, but he's going to keep him in his sights nonetheless. We do have Dan and Hootie a little bit further up ahead, who are also going to go for it, but a bit too wide from Noct is going to see him drop a bit more space once again.
Yeah, we're kind of it's a good POV potentially to sit on here, because we're not only watching the Noct and J. Call battle, but yeah, as you pointed out, Dan and Hootie just a little bit ahead, both fighting it out together. And we'll see if maybe Noct and J. Call can set aside their differences perhaps a little bit, or just kind of play off of each other. You know, maybe get a little bit of bunt draft action here. Oh, as I'm talking, we've got Noctron again trying to run up on the inside. I see Hootie running pretty wide up ahead, and Noctron looks like actually locks in the pass here. Not quite, because J. Call's got the good exit, able to capitalize on that draft and a good line coming out of the corner. And J. Call now back. Oh, late break there from Noct. And J. Call dominates the last corner, gets ahead once again. Time is closing in here for Noctron to commit to a move. You can see he's tried to get ahead a couple of times, but just gets a little bit shaky with it. Isn't able to lock it in. That back straight is a really tough spot to lock in a pass, just because, you know, the driver behind is going to be able to, you know, probably get in your draft and catch up real quick. So he's going to have to be smart about where he decides to make a move.
Well, you got J. Cole, who is just really good at keeping the car gripped up. That's why he's able to make the switchbacks work so effectively. Even if he takes a suboptimal line, he knows just how to rotate the car, keep it gripped up the whole way, and then push out of it to regain some of that lost momentum and some of that lost pace. All saying that big wide wash, and that is going to be a door opened for sure. Quickly capitalizing on it. Noct is jumping up into P9. And Hootie is going to be up ahead a little bit further away from Dan. But remember, and as rightly has been pointed out, there is the reverse grid to consider. So a single position in this point of the race, almost ironically, has higher stakes than the front end.
No, absolutely. So yeah, for anybody who doesn't know, we run a top 8 reverse grid, meaning that whoever locks in P8 for this first race will be starting pole for the second race. So there is a massive difference between P8 and P9 here. And so Noctron, with just a couple of laps left, is probably going to be trying to see if he can make anything happen last minute, maybe hoping that Hootie makes a mistake. He's got to really buckle in here. It looks like Dan was able to kind of break away there, and will possibly be locking in that a good race 2 starting position. But Hootie's still not locked in there yet. I mean, we saw with J. Call and Noct, one mistake is all it takes. And the door was open for Noctron to get that P9.
Yeah, well, there's still a little bit of time left, but not enough to get comfortable. And the drivers now need to make that crucial decision. Do they push up? And do they go for the big points? Go for a little bit more of a send to try and get a position? Or do they hold back? Do they hold fire? Do they just confirm their position that they're currently in and maybe play it safe for another day? Now, I'm looking at some of the qualifying relative to the standings, and I've got to say, some big winners and losers. Gav, for instance, down right at the bottom of the split, now running P6, so some serious gains from them there. Corolla, of course, running first to first. And then Oceanics play much of the same story. Luke has had a little bit of a jump. He's taken a swap from 4th to 3rd. And then Sunken has dropped down to P5. But I gotta say, relatively consistent in comparison to qualifying.
Yeah, you know, we've got a couple of outliers. Yeah, like you said, Gav starting 12th on the grid and then sitting in a pretty comfy mid pack here. But yeah, everyone else looking pretty comfortable, pretty close to their qualifying position. And that's what's going to make it really interesting here to see what happens on the reverse grid, because we've got drivers that are going to be finishing relatively close to their qualifying pace. And then we're just going to go ahead and turn that on its head and see how they can handle having to work their way through the traffic a little bit.
They're going to have to fight and work, but of course that is for next race. As we go through final corner, Corolla is going to be taking the win here in race 1.
Oh, and unfortunately, we saw some last-minute drama there. Sunken on the last half of the last lap, missed a checkpoint.
No, the consistency has faltered.
Oh, that has got to feel bad for Sunken there, and that's going to give Noctrion actually the P8. A last-minute blessing there for Noctrion, who is now going to be starting in pole position for race 2 because of Sunken's missed checkpoint. Wow, what a way to finish the race. Some last-minute drama there that is definitely going to be shaking up the grid. Holy cow. I know Sunken is going to be feeling really, really bad about that one.
Yeah, well, Sunken kind of made it a little bit bad to worse for themselves as well, because not only did they drop, but they kind of raged out a little bit at the end to the point where they dropped in to P10. They sacrificed the spot at the very end after missing a second checkpoint on the final corner. So they are going to be only ahead of Track Day, who's a little bit further behind than that. Real rough ending for Sunken there. It's such a strong position and unfortunately let it go in the dying moments.
Yeah, that is very unfortunate, and obviously, you know, that this is as much of a head game as it is a matter of, you know, pace and racecraft. If you're able to kind of brush that stuff off, I think, you know, maybe he could have held on to 1 or 2 positions, but you know, I understand it's tough if you kind of give it up right there at the end. It can be a huge blow to morale. And I think we just saw that happen there with Sunken, who probably thought he was pretty safe, pretty comfortable in his position. But we'll see. We'll see if he can regain his composure here for race 2 and maybe make some moves. And I'm actually going to jump over here quickly to the casting booth. Holy cow. Sappy, what a first race.
That was a really good first race. I mean, the top 3, they ran with it. They got their open space, and by lap 2 or 3, it was as good as a done deal. Provided they didn't make any mistakes, that was going to be their finishing position. And that's exactly what we saw. Luke had a little bit more fighting going on around the field. They did have a bit of a trade back and forth, P3, 4, 5. But in the end, they managed to get that clean break. And the rest of the field kind of speaks for itself. Like, they had a few different squabbles up and down. Unfortunately, as we said, a big drop for Sunken, and hopefully they can regain some of that composure and confidence now that they are going into the reverse grid half of the race. But Noct is getting a blessing and a half, starting in pole, as you said. Corolla Oceanics, I think, are going to be fighting even harder, as they
Absolutely.
were running some serious pace. 25 2s, 25 1s, fastest lap being Corolla with a 197. And while nobody necessarily got within the same stretch as their qualifying times, we didn't see any 24s, it's certainly going to be a very aggressive start, as the reverse grid runners, keep in mind, they'll be starting P8, 7, 6. They'll just want to get back into that clean air and hope to repeat a similar performance to what we've just seen.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is definitely a case where if those guys at the back, Silver, Corolla, Oceanics, Luke, if they can make some early moves, that is going to be massive for getting that early breakaway. And again, kind of seeing a repeat of what we saw in race 1, where they were able to just break away from the pack and kind of enter that hot lap mode and keep it consistent and lock in those podium spots. I do, like I was saying before the race, I got to give a shout out to the Link representative here, Gav, who, like we were saying, did start. See if I can pull that up here. Yeah, did start in P12 on grid, our one Link driver, and managed to scoop up a very, very good position here, a P5 for race 1 with the Link. I love to see it.
Yeah, I'd love to see that Link rep, and of course showing that even if it has fallen out of favor in this season, it's still got the chops. It's still more than capable of bringing some fire to the table. And it looks like we aren't going to be wasting much of any time with the reverse grid race getting started up. I am a little bit concerned because I do see that Gav is currently in the pause menu where the rest of the field is loading in. So I think we might be seeing a restart. Just going to get the confirm, of course, when we go trackside. We might see a little bit of a delay there if that's the case.
Yeah, it looks like we might be up for a restart. That's to be expected to a certain degree. We got off with a smooth first race, but it looks like, I also see Gav, and then I also see Sunken with a disconnected controller. Hope he can maybe run downstairs and grab some fresh double A's for his Xbox controller in time here. But it looks like we are gonna see a restart is gonna be my guess for this one. But gives us an opportunity to get a closer look at some of the very nice liveries while the drivers all load in.
As they jump in trackside, seeing if we've got the racers all in, and it does look like we are going to have a restart. No Gav, so this is going to be a brief sort of technical intermission. Gives a chance for Sunken to grab a pair of as well, and then we'll see how quickly we can get things back up and running.
I think maybe I casters cursed the Link there a little bit. Everybody made it in except for the one Link. Maybe that's a little bit of a balancing move on Playground's part. It might be a fast car. He was able to gain a lot of positions, but making it to the race in the first place, now that could be a bit of a struggle.
They made up too many positions in the race. Skill-based matchmaking working as intended. Put them in another lobby.
Yeah, I'm just getting word here. Gav has been pushed up to split 1.
This just in.
Breaking
news.
So yeah, we're going to see here all the drivers AFK. It's the only way to maintain convoy while making sure that everybody makes it out and then makes it back in without having to reform. Kind of a little bit of a workaround. But yeah, you can see everybody just kind of standing on grid here, letting the engines and tires cool down a little bit.
All-important breather. Sometimes you just need it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, gotta recap. Oh, and I actually am getting some live confirmation here. Magnus says Troot is back. Troot, we were mentioning this earlier. They had a water pipe burst in their kitchen, I think I remember hearing correctly. And hopefully got that solved. And that might mean we might have a full grid of 12 drivers here for the second split. A nice little, perhaps a little happy surprise here coming from Gav's unfortunate miss coming into the race. So we might need to wait just a little bit longer. I see somebody just made it back in. I don't see Troot in the lobby quite yet. But yeah, I think hopefully we'll be able to get Troot here. Get a full grid.
Yes, we got a blessing in disguise there. So if we can get him in, we will have that full 12. I believe, given the circumstances, he'd be starting. Would he be starting at the back of the grid, given it's the reverse grid and he's joining halfway, or would there be a consideration for the position of qualifying? Because he's P10 in qual, which means he's outside of the reverse grid range.
That is a good question. I think this might be an HTCC first right here. I don't know if we've ever had somebody be able to make it only for the second split. I'm going to take a guess that we're probably going to put him at the back of the grid. That's kind of usually what we do for late arrivals, but we'll have to see. I think that's going to be maybe up to Magnus's discretion a little bit. But with that, folks, I think we're going to give Troot a minute to boot up, get the game ready to go, and get in convoy. And me and Sappy here are going to take a quick little ad break and let you guys see some of our affiliated communities. So we will be right back, and hopefully when we come back, we will have Troot with us. All right, see you guys.
This is Forza Horizon 5. But what if we could make it something more? Find hundreds of custom maps to enhance your experience. Welcome to the Forza Creators Guild. And creators we trust.
There we go, folks. We've got Troot. Not just any Troot, but the Troot is here. And that leads us to a full grid of 12 drivers for race 2. I'm not, we were talking right before the break. I'm not quite sure where Troot is going to be starting. Maybe we'll jump onto his POV. He is streaming. And we'll see. Maybe he's going to be, I think, at the back of the pack. We'll see if he can make some moves.
Well, it is your league, so you're guessing what's happening, but I'm pretty sure last I checked, if you're in charge of a league, then what you say with those kind of decisions tends to go.
No, see, they just kind of prop me up. Really, let's be honest, this is kind of Magnus's league. They just shove me in front of the camera when it's time for race day. And I just pretend. I just pretend that I know what I'm talking about and know what I'm doing when really I'm flying by the seat of my pants.
they pull you out of the cupboard when it's HTCC time. It's like dust you off. It's like, right, yep, do your thing, and then say put back away for other occasions.
Exactly.
I love that little analogy. Interesting choice, but we are going trackside now, and
yes.
Hopefully no hiccups compared to the first time.
Yeah, hoping this is. I see all the POVs made it in. I'm going to real quick here. Make sure I load. I should have done this during the break. Make sure I load Troot's POV with that one running, and I think we'll sit on that one. I really liked watching the back of the grid. Like I was saying, I think towards the start of the first race, because this is a pretty wide open track with not a lot of breakups as far as the sight line goes. It's easy to watch a lot of the action from a single POV. So yeah, maybe we'll give Troot some time in the spotlight after him missing out there on race 1.
Yeah, not to mention, of course, Master Painter, livery
Of course.
looking absolutely fire, and joining the rest of the cohort with suitably painted cars. And there we go, trackside now, and everyone is in. So Troop will join the back of the queue, and we'll get ourselves ready to go.
I love it. One of those times where it actually works out for us to need to restart once, because let us get Troot in there. And now we're going to have a full grid, a little bit more action for race 2. Very excited to see how this one is going to go. Gav, as we saw, started P12, moved up to P5, now is going to be starting mid-pack. We'll see if maybe he can make a run for the podium, or if he's kind of destined to sit there around P5, P6, if maybe that's just where his pace is at. But yeah, Corolla, Oceanics, and Luke definitely going to be the ones to watch here, as they're going to be starting P8, 7, and 6. But we know they've got the pace to be up at the top.
Yeah, it's about putting that pace down and putting it down consistently, though. We've seen how a lack of consistency or a break in form can catastrophically destroy your race in a matter of seconds or a matter of corners. So I always tend to say, and I'll sort of adapt it for this example, a consistent 125 is better than a 124, but you crash every so often. You're going to get more mileage out of that. You're going to get a lot more mileage out of just being able to bring those consistent times in and really put up a solid defense, because it's so much harder to get a position on the attack, and this is sometimes something that can go unnoticed. It's so much harder to be on the attacking side, just out of the fact that you have to make sure that you get round safely, or safely. The other driver has control over the race line and has control over the track. They dictate where you go, not the other way around. And if nothing else, you've got to find that pace and be able to hold it while under immense pressure to complete the move.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this has just been a case where, we're seeing drivers really push the track as hard as they can, and it's been interesting where there we go. Yep. We're seeing who did we lose there?
Bonnie.
Oh no. So all right, we looks like we're gonna have a stop here. The race hasn't started yet, and and we lost Silver Corolla as well. All right, might be time for another restart there. Not a worry.
More advertisement.
Yeah. Yeah, who wants to see that awesome FCG ad again? The Street Wars ad? I mean, come on. We got some banger ads on that one.
Yeah. Yes, we do. I am biased.
Yeah, folks, I think we're going to go ahead and throw it real quick back to another ad break while we wait here for the convoy to reform. And then we'll check back in, and hopefully we can get a start. Third time's the charm here for the second race of Split 2. Folks, we will be right back with you.
This is Forza Horizon 5. But what if we could make it something more? Find hundreds of custom maps to enhance your experience. Welcome to the Forza Creators Guild. In creators, we trust.
There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back here, jumping right over to the driver cam. I've got the troop POV. As you can see, he's kind of got the blueprint loaded up. We've got a full convoy, and let's hope we get everybody in this time around. Now, if somebody does unfortunately disconnect on this one, I think we're just going to send it. We're just going to run it through and work with what we've got, because, guys, we have another race event after this. Another race event. We've got Split 1 coming up. So let's hope we can get Split 2, Race 2 underway here without any hiccups.
Yeah, we're running the 2 restart rule, so very similar to pretty much all other competitive Horizon events on the calendar. You get 2 restarts for lobby issues and disconnects within the first lap, and then if that doesn't work, the third restart is what you run. So unfortunately, that's just the way it has to be. No, the game's not perfect, but at the same time, we've got Split 1 waiting, and we've got the drivers here who probably they have their own lives as well. They probably want to get the second race just over and going. And this is going to be, I think, a case of that, because I believe we have lost Dan. And owing to that rule, we sadly will not be getting him back. So we'll be back to an 11-car grid on this one.
Yeah, looks like we're going to be swapping Dan out for Troot on this one. Definitely an unfortunate turn of events. Was hoping we could have a grid of 12, but have at least a little bit of a mix-up. At least everybody in Split 2 looks like we'll get a chance to race today, at the very least. Oh, although, you know what I got to say? Looks like we might actually have a bigger issue here, because I see about half the grid actually not loading in. Oh no. And I think that actually might call for yet another restart, just because I only see, I've got a total of 8 POVs. I only see 4 drivers loaded in at the moment. So it looks like,
good.
Yeah, looks, Ami in the chat, 3 cheers for the Xbox network. Yeah, definitely, Getting the Forza experience a little bit now at the moment here. As, yeah, it looks like we're going to have to AFK one more time. Otherwise, it'd be a pretty lonely race here. With just a few drivers making it in. But maybe that'll give a chance. Maybe Dan can scoot back in real quick here. Oh, okay, I do have Dan in chat, actually. Says, sadly, won't be able to make the second half. Dan, hey. Very much appreciate you jumping in and joining the racing up to this point. Totally understand real life exists and is a thing. we can only know life HTCC every now and then. But yeah, as you can see here, I'm on the Troop POV. Unfortunately, only 5 drivers loading in, so we will be, I'm almost positive anyway, we'll be backing out one more time here. Trying to get everybody on grid. Still going to be running 11 drivers because, yeah, Dan, unfortunately, not able to make it here for the second race. But we'll see. We'll see what we can get. How much do you guys in chat love those ads, though?
Well, I think while it's not codified in the rules, I think it is generally accepted that if we lose over 50% of a lobby, or at least over a certain proportion, it kind of overrides. So yeah, otherwise it just wouldn't be a good viewing experience. And there you go. It's going to be an AFK again. And looks like we're going to be having a third restart. A very rare occurrence around here.
This is a very rare occurrence. You know, Sappy, I was thinking bringing you on for the final event would kind of fix this curse that I have, where whenever I cast, we get a bunch of restarts. And I thought, you know, if I just have Sappy on, Sappy's my good luck charm, and the races go so well with you. But I think somehow I've made it worse.
I think part of the problem is that there's no funny image. No funny image.
All right. Well, here, while we're waiting for everybody, you know, maybe I can pop us over here to the casting booth. Let's bring up the dynamic duo, Sappy and Yappy.
There we go.
And
beautiful.
Hopefully hopefully this gives us the energy we need to get a nice solid lobby, get the full grid of 11 anyway going here. Does look like we don't need to reform the convoy, which is nice to see. But and I do already see Troot getting it ready to go, loading up, and we'll keep our fingers crossed. I'll just keep it on this. I don't want to, you know, commit too early to the event, to the swap over. Oh, see, hold on. Let me see if I can do some live
live tinkering.
Some live tinkering. Hold on. You're seeing some live production oh, I gotta fix this. Live production. As we kill a little bit of time. Get that going. Get this swapped over. Perfect. And let me go ahead and add this. Where is it? Where is it? Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We officially have a live sappy reaction. There you have it. There you have it.
It's still my favorite sticker.
It really is. It's an icon in the Forza community. I mean, it really is. Oh, folks, it does look, I think everybody got the invite. It looks like all my POVs got it, so I think hopefully we're good to go. And just as a reminder, if we drop just, you know, one person, maybe two people, I think we're still going to be sending it on this one, adhering to the limited restart rule. And hopefully everybody makes it in. My troop POV is a little bit ahead, but looks like hopefully everyone else will be able to jump in here. And yeah, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Hopefully minimal hiccups, and we do see a bit more consistency coming through. A few more of the cars pulling through to the lobby as well.
Yep.
Seems to be the case for some. It seems to be a little bit more consistent, but I'm still hesitant to call because it's a toss-up. I can't really sway either way. I think we might have a bit more of an issue at play.
All right, hold on. Now I need to make the live sappy reaction a little bit larger here. I think for every restart we need to make the live sappy reaction a little bit bigger because yeah, even though I saw everybody get the notification that Troot had started the event, it does look like yet again only about half the grid is loading in. We're getting Forza pretty hard here today.
We really have a more core issue at play. I wonder what's going on, because we had a fairly consistent lobby, and even then, like the first time round, we were seeing the majority of the field coming in. So I don't know what's changed to cause this kind of thing. All we do know right now is that we might be seeing a rare case where almost the entire lobby is unable to continue. We might have to swap convoy leads, we might have to get some people to completely restart the game, but something's broken, something's not adding up, and we are only going to be seeing, at least on Troot's side of things, I think it's the same 5. I think it's the same 5 cars who got in on restart 2 are now going to be in on restart 3, so heading into potentially restart 4 here, hopefully not beyond.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're gonna be a little bit stuck here.
Yeah, I'm chatting with Troot here in the chat, and we're gonna try swapping convoy lead. I think also, with Magnus here, I think what we might do is have to call an audible and possibly run split 2, race 2 off stream. And then go ahead, just for the sake of time, swap over to split 1. But we're going to be kind of figuring this out at the moment. I think we'll give them maybe one more shot to restart here before we maybe change gears a little bit and move over to split 1. But yeah, split 1 would have to mobilize pretty quickly. So I think we'll give it one more shot. Maybe we'll say, hey, split one, get ready just in case kind of thing. And then we'll see what we can get. Hopefully a convoy lead swap does it. Sunken also says, hey, Hokie, while we wait on the game fixing itself, how about we run an ad for Horizon Endurance Masters? If you have an ad ready, Sunken, I can throw it in. We can do some more live, show running. See what happens. Okay. Oh, here we go. We got Magnus on cam.
As you can see on stream, we only have 5 people in the race, and we are technically to the rules on our last restart. I come to you with a proposition. We postpone split 2 until maybe after the stream, maybe to the end, who knows? And we see if we can get split 1 in and let them do the races first.
Yeah, I say we either my personal vote is we either we try to mobilize split 1, see if split 1 can get up and ready here and get them ready, and then maybe in the meantime just try to restart split 2 one more time, because I don't want to run it with just 5 people. That'll be lonely. I want to give everybody the chance. So
and ending for split 2 the last race of the season on a race with 5 people does not feel right, so I agree with that. Okay, I'll try to get things sorted. To the people in Twitch chat, sorry for all the delays. You know how the Xbox network is and how Forza is. I wish we could make this work better, but we are limited by the technology of our time, so please be patient.
Yep, absolutely. No, I appreciate it, everybody. Listen, it wouldn't be an HTCC season without some hiccups, and of course for the finale, it just feels right. We've got to end it with a bang, and the Xbox servers decided they would end with their own bang as well.
Oh dear. Well, as I say, limited by the technology of our time.
Absolutely.
And now is going to be a little bit of a sort of a technical shake-up and unfortunate hand being dealt for the Split 2 crowd. I do really feel for them, because this was going to be a very exciting reverse grid race. And we will see, hopefully, what we can muster out of the current technological situation. But where we have... I can see the official stream, by the way. I would like to point this out. I do have it on my second monitor. And I'm doing my best to keep a straight face. But we'll hopefully get things moving pretty quickly in order to get back on track with, if not split 2, then split 1.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good idea, good call there from Magnus to maybe try and call the bat phone and get split 1 ready to go here just in case. We'll kind of see what we've got. It looks like a lot of people in split 2 are restarting. I think we're going to be reforming the convoy, just getting a fresh start, seeing if we can give it one more go. And if not, then hopefully we can get split 1 ready. I know Luke in chat says this is the worst luck. It is such a bummer. But yeah, like we've been saying, limited by the technology of our time. This is what we got to do sometimes when it comes to Forza casting. But I think at the end of the day, we're still going to get some good races here, one way or another.
I gotta say though, like this is probably like the worst we've seen it in a good while, and I really do feel for all the Split 2 drivers. So, everyone who is in Split 2 tonight, I do want to make it very clear to everyone there that this has been brilliant a showing from them. They've really put on an amazing opening race for the stream. That is not into question whatsoever. It's a brilliant race start to finish. Everyone brought their A game. And in the end, even if reverse grid is going to be happening at an alternate time, you can hold your head high with a great performance as the first round. So it looks like we're getting people mobilizing hopefully fairly quickly. And then we will see what's going on with our Split 1 crew and getting things switched. Yep,
yeah, I'm going to be hearing from Godly in chat that Split 1, they were practicing in the meantime. They got pulled out of practice and called to action here. But I do see, yeah, it looks like a lot of Split 2 restarting the game, getting booted up again, and hopefully starting to reform the convoy here, and we'll see what we can get. We will see what we can get. But yeah, of course, Split 2, I feel for you guys. I don't want you to, nobody wants to end the season on a, you know, without a final race. But we'll see. We'll get it working one way or another, and we'll just have to play it by ear as far as the cast goes.
Yeah, well, time is of the essence at this stage because, of course, you've got the Split 1 runners who were running a little bit of practice and kind of anticipating and trying to keep an eye on things. But, of course, when they're running at the peak, they're going to be using every single amount of time, every possible minute to be practicing and getting in fighting form. I mean, you look at the quali times as well. It's a 23.6 from Fua, over a 10th.5 away from Aston. And then the rest of the field is going to be split by about a second across the split. So much closer in terms of timings. But we will have, of course, a great race out there. A bit more Link & Co representation as well. We've got 3 Links compared to the 1 at Split 2.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got Green, our kind of resident Link driver. And then, yeah, Dark and Magnus, who has joined us for the last few races, jumping in with the Link to kind of balance out the grid a little bit. What do we have? We've got 3 Links, 2 Hyundais, and it looks like the rest of the grid is all MGs. Shaolin, by the way, thank you for the support. I appreciate it.
Yeah, well, hopefully not too long now. I know the Split 1 drivers were... Some of them were already in the lobby or in the voice chat at the time of the Split 2 issues. Some of them were in practice, and I think Magnus is currently in the process of coordinating both Split 1 and Split 2 as we speak. So keeping a finger on the pulse on both sides of the coin. As you said, a lot of drivers are restarting to hopefully get a reverse grid run race on stream at some point soon. But we will, in the meantime, mobilize Split 1, see if we can keep things moving forward. Because, of course, the Split 1 runners at this stage will also be looking at waiting and burning some time. We will have the, of course, diligent work going on by Magnus as they holding the fort.
Holding the line.
He really is. I think, as well as everything else, I do want to say, like, everyone in the staff team, like, pulling this together, making this work, testing side, live administration side, it's a task. It's a real task to put this together. So I want to make sure that Magnus right now in particular, as he's scrambling around, so plenty of love to Magnus.
No, we appreciate him. Yeah, I've brought this up kind of throughout the season, but we've been running a little bit of a skeleton crew this time around. You know, season 1, we kind of brought in everybody we could. And then season 2, we slimmed it down, focused back just on more or less my existing mod team. And Magnus has been pulling some serious weight here. And not only is Magnus kind of running the splits, managing things behind the scenes, he is also going to be driving today in Split 1. He's P12 in Split 1. So Magnus, he's got his plate full. He's been pretty much, I mean, you know, you'll see it in the credits, but Magnus was definitely leading the charge for season 2, trying to get us up and running and make sure that we actually have a season 2. And it wouldn't be here without him, and wouldn't be here without everybody else that's kind of chipped in and got things going. You know, I want to, while I'm giving shout outs, of course, I've got to shout out Ami for the amazing track graphics that we've been working on. I mean, come on. I forgot my hand still exists behind the Sappy and Yappy graphic. Hey, hold on, I'll pull it back to my actual casting desk here. We'll put Sappy and Yappy away for the time being. But yeah, phenomenal graphics from Ami, phenomenal work in the background for Magnus. Oh, and like an angel sent from heaven, we actually just got in here. We have another mod ready to help coordinate. We've got KS, so people are scrambling, coming in from the wings, and hopefully we can get running here. I think it's kind of looking like we might be swapping over to Split 1. I think Split 1 is starting to mobilize a little bit. Split 2 hasn't been forming a convoy yet, so I think Split 2's in a little bit of a holding pattern while we figure it out, confirm if Split 1 is going to be running. And if I do get a confirmation that Split 1 is ready to go, I'm going to drop us over to one more ad break, and then I'll get all the POVs swapped over myself so I can get that ready. We'll see. Yeah, I see. So I've got KS answering the back call, checking on the driver's chat to see what we're doing. It looks like, yeah, Split 1 is forming here. So folks, I'm gonna throw us over to an ad break, get Split 1 ready to go, and then, you know, live, we're doing this. I think we're gonna be switching over here to Split 1, and then Split 2 will possibly be running in the background, and maybe we'll be able to pop up with an update and see how they did. So folks, I will be right back. We're gonna throw you to yet another ad scene. They're great ads. They're great ads. All right, I'll be right back.
This is Forza Horizon 5. But what if we could make it something more? Find hundreds of custom maps to enhance your experience. Welcome to the Forza Creators Guild. And creators we trust. This is Forza Horizon 5. But what if we could make it something more? Find hundreds of custom maps to enhance your experience. Welcome to the Forza Creators Guild. And creators we trust. This is Forza Horizon 5. But what if we could make it something more? Find hundreds of custom maps to enhance your experience. Welcome to the Forza Creators Guild. And creators we trust.
All right, folks, a little bit of a last minute chaos here. So we have began split 2. I'm going to jump over here to the Troop POV. Split 2 is running, and we will end up finishing this race off stream while Split 1 continues or to get ready. But we'll throw up the Split 2 cast for now. We'll go ahead and watch this one for the time being and keep an eye here while we get Split 1 ready. Again, apologies for all the chaos. Very big apologies. Lots of last-minute Forza things and just trying to get it figured out and see what we're going to do. So, yeah, here we do have live Split 2 from Troot's POV starting towards the back. They just hit their first lap there, running on to lap 2 of the race. And, yeah, there we go. I'm gonna double check in here with Split 1 while we have this up on screen.
All right, let's go. Let's do it. We're going on board with Troop right now, and he's having a whale of a time near the back. Him and Sunken are fighting tooth and nail. You can see that Troop is just holding as best he can for the space and trying his best to hold the line, but is not quite going to be afforded the space by Sunken as they've gone back and forth and exchanged contact a little bit as well. We've got Noct, who is currently in the lead, of course, inheriting that P8 opportunity. And then in the rest of the field, you've got Bonnie, Luke, J. Cole, Oceanics, Corolla, Trackday, and Hootie just further up ahead. Gav is going to be all the way down in P11 right now and having a bit of a rough one as far as starts go, but looking to the rest of the field, Luke has managed to reassert himself into P3 with a very strong start. We do see a couple of cars up in the distance going side by side. I think that's Oceanics and J. Cole right over there in the distance. You can see a plume of smoke as everyone's trying to just push the limits, go aggressive in early laps. Troot managed to get a bit of a breakaway and has finally got himself a bit of track space with which he can start opening the taps on. And as we open things up, now heading into lap 3 of 17, technically, it's going to be a very aggressive run. True, you can see running very wide, just trying to take as much speed as humanly possible. He needs to catch up to that queue. They're looking for him there, waiting for a chance, seeing what he can do, and the mistakes are going to be creeping in, both overhead and for Troot himself. You see the frustration spin as he's trying his best to make the best out of situation. Of course, the early fighting with Sunken not doing him any favors. Oceanics has missed a checkpoint, so he's going to be going down into P12. We see a very rough line and a big grip loss there from Troot. That's going to give him the position to Sunken. I think he clipped and just raised a couple of his tires owing to the concrete edge of the track, so not ideal for him at all. And he's now going to have to work even harder to get himself further up once again. Bonnie's managed to take the lead of the race. He's fighting off with Noct, and they are going to have a little bit of a shot against each other.
Now swap POVs here.
We'll see, get a little bit of a swap going, as there is plenty of fighting near the front. There's Noct, there's Luke, there's Bonnie, also waiting in the wings. They've all got a chance here to make this one happen and to make something exciting. Noct going in, say, the fashion we saw from the previous run. We're seeing him go fairly defensive and fairly safe. Doesn't want to get into too much altercation. He's not really pushing the cars side by side and going for it alongside the others. So letting them almost get a bit of a breakaway as they are going to be fighting amongst themselves. Sunken has taken a hit as they have missed a checkpoint just in front of Troot, and they are going down into P11, joining Oceanics near the back of the grid. The last couple of moments unfolding in a pretty crazy fashion, with Noct starting to push the aggression button a little bit more. Of course, at this point, the racers just want to fight and to run and to get this one done. So Noct closing the gap where he can, trying his best not to get himself into too much trouble. The top three are going to be, of course, in fairly close contention. We might see a bit of a different story compared to the last race. Remember, the top three got a clean break. They got a clean break at the start of the race, and they were able to fully peel away from the rest of the field. We might not see that this time with our top 3 over here. The reverse grid run, they've managed to capitalize quite well. Bonnie and Luke are going to be trading blows, going very different lines through into this 6th, or technically 5th lap. They're challenging for each other. What's got to remember, folks, this is not going to be fully broadcasted. The rest of the race is going to be happening off stream, as this is going to be an interim between this and the split 1, the full course split 1 race. So that will be just an important heads up. We are in the finalization process of getting split 1 together, getting split 1 ready for racing in full. And then once we do that, we will be pushing forward. But there's Noct going for an aggressive run. There is going to be a little bit of a wobble coming through this onto the grass. And that is going to be a side-by-side with Bonnie, as Luke is actually going to be the one to get the breakaway on this time.
Yeah, we saw a little bit of a shaky correction there from Noctrion. He almost had it, but just had to adjust his line at the last minute there. And that's given Bonnie the chance to come back and continue the fight there for the podium here. While in the meantime, Luke is just breaking away from the pack and moving ahead.
Let's see, the grid is starting to fan out a little bit more in terms of this reverse grid race. We got Troot up into P7. Track Day is down in 10th. I think they had a bit of a mistake themselves. And a tale of 2 packs is beginning to form. So we've got P1 through 6. They're all within a couple of seconds of one another. Troot is going to be leading the second queue with Gav roughly a half second behind, waiting in the wings. You can see he's going a little bit farther on the outside there. But we also have a little bit of fighting further up too. We have Hootie, J-Cool, Silver Corolla. They're all going to be in fairly close proximity. And in fact, we do see Jekyll dropping back, as Corolla is going to be in very close quarters, trying to find the space, trying to find the chance, and not going to let that one go so easy. Now, Corolla was fastest last time out, got the first spot on quali, and just completely ran with it. So now they've got some clean air. We could see some trouble as they start to peel away and get into that flow. Meanwhile, we look around. Can see the rest of the field finding a bit of calm within themselves. I would not be hard-pressed to say that at this point, a lot of racers are starting to find their own pocket at the track and starting to run as best they can within their times in order to close into other racers. Got 2 battles simultaneously going on, as you've got J-Call and Hootie, and then you've also got, I believe, Gav is going to be on the hunt to Troot right here.
There we go.
On the hunt, and Troot has done well in the early stages, of course. Remember, starting at the very back, and is now currently sat in P7. Gav having a bit of a rough time. Oceanics is going to be going for it, making the most of the mistake from his opponent, and going side by side, heading through the second sector, as we are already going to be coming up to the halfway point. Going to be a little bit of a toss-up here. You can see going very narrow. Gav is not going to be letting that one go so easy. In the end, washes out wide, kind of forces back Oceanics in a defensive move there, but I have a feeling these two are going to continue to battle.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you on that one. I gotta say, I'm jumping around here. I have the same POV the stream does at the moment. Kind of looks like Noctrion might be closing the gap a little bit on Luke there. It looked like Luke was pretty comfortable in that P1, but Noctrion closing some time in. And with Bonnie not too far behind, looks like we might still have a pretty lively battle for the podium.
Yeah, there will still be plenty of fight up at the top end. I don't doubt that we are going to be seeing them duke it out right to the bitter end of this run. We have got, just as a bit of a background update, Split 1 should be now fully formed and in the process of final setup here. So we will be going over to them and getting the big event, the Split 1 itself, ready to go in just a couple of moments' time.
Yeah, looks like Split 1 just about getting ready. Yeah, just as a reminder, we will not, just because we ended up having some hiccups with the Forza servers and had to kind of call an audible and switch things around for the sake of time. We will not be broadcasting the second half here of Split 2. We will instead be moving over to Split 1 momentarily here. We'll keep it on Split 2 as long as we can, though, before we swap over, just to make sure that these guys still get their time in the spotlight, and see if we can just try and cover as much of this event as possible, because I gotta say, it's looking like it's going to be a pretty good one here. Noctrion doing pretty well here, still holding great pace. Luke holding his own. But, yeah, Noctrion's looking great.
All right, well, I say we are getting the Split 1 runners. We're about to switch over. So now we will see what the Split 1 is capable of. But say as we wrap up our screen time for Split 2, it's worth mentioning the great racing that they've all had, and of course continue to put on to the very end. So we'll of course update you with the results in the interim between the Split 1 races. We'll give you the update and see who comes out on top for this final reverse grid run. But Split 1 is officially getting underway as we speak. Now we are loading up and loading in. We'll see all racers now connecting up and getting themselves shipshape for the race.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you guys for bearing with us through this one, and we will absolutely keep you posted on what the results are going to look like there for the second race of Split 2. I'm definitely excited to see, what the differences are going to be just from getting the snapshot here and then seeing what's going to change at the end. But it looks like we're loading up here for the main event, Split 1 here. And yeah, we got Ami. Yeah, guys, feel free to comment in the chat if anybody's watching any of the Split 2 streams. Feel free to give us some updates in the chat while we go ahead and watch Split 1 here. Let me jump over to, we'll go ahead and put it on FUA for the time being. Got a nice little view of some of the cars, and it looks like, I think we've got the go-ahead, and we might just be, yeah, I know Godly in chat, unfortunately, 5 a.m. for Godly. This is kind of the problem when you're dealing with time zones around the world. It's so hard to put on a league that works for everyone. We've got people from the U.S., people from all over Europe. I mean, KS not driving, but KS helping manage things from Africa. So really a worldwide operation here, and it's definitely tough to coordinate the whole thing.
Truly a global endeavor here at HTCC.
Really is.
And plenty of time later, we do have a full set of 12, and we will be seeing the racers get ready. Hopefully, with a minimal technical issue, Green has officially procced the event, so we will get everyone now loading up, loading in, and it seems to be okay for the most part. I'm not going to say with 100% certainty until we get trackside, but things aren't looking to be the same situation as we saw with Split 2's reverse.
Yeah, look, I'm seeing here on my my multi-screen window that looks like everybody's loading in and ready to go, and I think at this point everybody is just itching to race. So I think we're going to be hopefully getting a move on here with the first race of Split 1. Yeah, so far I think nice thing about the top split here is we do have POVs for just about every single driver. So we're going to be able to jump pretty freely around the grid and zone in on wherever the action is.
Yep, we'll be able to jump around. We'll be able to see pretty much every battle, and we won't miss a beat here. Thanks to, of course, everyone being, well, they not only streaming their POVs, but streaming them in good quality as well, because it's one thing to have a POV, but if it looks like you've ported it straight out of Minecraft using Redstone, there's not much we can do.
Oh, yeah, no, we ask a lot of the drivers. I really appreciate they're all able to kind of bring it out. We're asking them not only to be drivers, but also streamers in a certain sense, and kind of sort out it's, I think you and I both know more than most that OBS can be a bit finicky, and it's not the most intuitive software right off the bat. So I'm glad, really appreciate these guys taking the effort to just make sure that we've got a nice looking cast here. And it does look, by the way, like we've got a full grid here for race 1.
Looking good. All 12. We're gonna make it. We're in.
I think so. Knock on wood.
Knock on wood.
Everybody pray to the Forza gods here that we make it through this one. So, by the way, for split 1 here, we've got Master Fua taking pole position, followed by Aston, followed by G-Man, and then one of my own, Nekomancer, in P4, followed by Serana, Green, Godly, Dark, Zaz, and then bringing up the final few will be Unos, Magnus, and Strix. So that is going to be your grid for race 1.
I think Unos might be a good car to start on. P10.
I agree.
Going to be sort of in the thick of the action, as you've got Magnus and Strix just behind. We will see them sort of briefly peek up around and alongside the other cars, but it's going to be a mad dash as previous. I like the little comment about OBS as well, because I currently have a setup that's in development that will hopefully be making its way to certain broadcasts soon. But there is a downside and a bit of a bug where you have 2 chances to flip a coin between a crash and a stream working when you both switch profiles to it and when you hit start streaming. It's about a 50-50 chance right now. So
oh, I love it.
We'll see what bugs we can fix, and hopefully that gets working in time for future events. TM, not going to say anything anymore on that. Otherwise I'll get in trouble.
Looks like I'm, funny enough, as we talk about it, getting a little bit of lag there from the Uno stream. So I'm gonna hot swap over here to Godly, get Godly in the spotlight while I hope that one gets going here, and we'll watch Godly for the start as the drivers come down the back straight onto the final corner, where we're about to start finally race 1 of split 1.
And here we go, up to line. Track is hot for split 1 here. And as soon as we cross, it's go time, and they're off. Immediately jumping to the inside line. You can see there's the likes of Aston. There's going to be G-Man and Nekomancer all going for it. You can see Dark going along the side of Godly, going for that inside line, heading into turn 2. Everyone being super aggressive like we saw with split 2. They just want those times. They want that space, and they need that early breakaway in order to make some good moves. It's 3, it's 4 wide coming out and into the second sector here, starting to snake more to the left. It is 4, it's going to stay 4. Someone's got to yield here as we go to the inside. Major conflict, major issue there. There's going to be a couple of cars straying off track. Nobody's going to be happy coming out of that one. Neko managing to get out alive, but major concertina effect and major ping pong, as you're going to see the likes of Green being pushed all the way down into P11. You've got Aston all the way down into P11 as well, as Green makes a move on Zaz alongside. But the front 3, G-Man, Fua, and Neko, they're managing to get a bit of space to themselves. G-Man in particular getting an early run on the pole position holder.
Wow, what an incredible first lap. That is definitely a lot more action than we saw there for split 2. These guys are hungry for it, no doubt about that. I can kind of go to any point in the grid here. We're kind of moving all over the place and just see lots of drivers stacked up, lots of action going on throughout the field here. I'll jump over here to see Green right now. Unfortunately, down there in P11, we saw a couple of missed checkpoints. We saw people running 4 wide into multiple corners. And here we go into turn 1, 3 wide between Aston, Strix, and Magnus, with Green following closely behind. We know that some of these drivers, Green and Aston especially, have the pace to be towards the front of the pack. But can they move their way through these other drivers and do it in a clean enough fashion to stay on the track and maintain their pace? That is what we're going to have to see.
Green needs to play it with a little bit of patience here. He needs to wait for Strix and Aston's moves and then react accordingly rather than try to force anything. Like you can see Strix, he's still very much intent on attacking Aston. He doesn't really care about Green's presence right now. He's So green is having to be a bit more reactive and isn't really being afforded the room to leverage the pace that we know he's got on tap. Aston's managing to get a breakaway, and Strix is going to be on the outside of green as he goes for a move into the penultimate corner, peeling out a bit more of the speed. That calls smooth input, and then just being on the corner edge there. Aston throwing in a couple of quick chats just to almost as if teasing him there, saying, come on, mate, you want to dance? Let's play. It's split one. I'm not going to take any chances on you. And then green is going to lock in the move for P10. You got a bit of movement up further as Fuwa has regained the pole and regained the first position. A bit of a fight with you, man. And Necromancer is going to be hanging a little bit further back, I think, on that one, as he's going to rather let them fight and reel themselves back into his orbit.
Yeah, we see Necromancer able to move up from a P4 start right here into P3. Master Fuwa looking pretty good there in that P1, but all three drivers here pretty stacked up. You see G-Man definitely putting some pressure on while Neko just sits a little bit behind. I think we'll kind of stick on with the Necromancer POV for the time being. Oh, and in the mid pack there, I just saw Serana, unfortunately, miss a checkpoint. Kind of went from, I think it was P6, now unfortunately moved down to P12. We are seeing a lot of drivers just pushing it a little bit past the limit here in the start of the race, and we'll have to just see if they can rein it in and focus up, because we still have a lot of action, a lot of movement here. I can actually move over to green, and green running 3 wide there. You can see Magnus Aston getting the pass on him again.
He yielded. He actually yielded there. He knew that 3 wide was a bad idea.
Knew that would be chaos.
Yeah, rather than risk it, he's going to peel back. He's going to let Magnus and Aston go because I think he's just trying to get stable positions in, and there are better places to go for it. He knows that. Like right now, he's putting some serious pressure down on Magnus because he knows that he can get away with it here. He can't do that in the last corner, especially with Aston there at the same time. So good run through the first sector into sector 2. Now Magnus is going to have the advantage on the line, but this is where we have to be very careful with the braking points. Good positioning there from green, holding it right on the edge of grip. A perfect defensive move to hold a position. And there he is in P7. Now he's got a bit of space. He's going to try and push up as much as he can to Aston. Though I got to say, P5 right now, Yunus, he started in P10. So I think he is the biggest gain from starting position since this race has begun.
Yeah, Yunus looking good. We're seeing a lot of shakeups here, kind of just around the whole grid. Yeah, green kind of stuck here in the middle pack. Aston ahead with Yunus looking great in P5 for now, but we'll stick on the green POV at least just for the time being, because Aston, look at that stack of 3 drivers coming into the final corner. We'll see. Fortunately, I don't have the Aston POV. We might actually have to jump over to Yunus to get a closer look at that action. But, and here we go. We can see a little bit of a slowdown there. Green immediately pulls up and pops his head out there, entering the fight. So now we've got some 4-way action in the mid-pack.
Yeah, well, we'll see how they all react, because it's a very precarious situation. If there's one driver I'm worried about, it is going to be Yunus, because he's stuck between multiple formidable opponents. He's going to go on the aggressive, though. He's going to peek it around the inside through the second sector. Godly is going to be caught unawares almost by that. He's going to hold the line in the center. Through goes Aston. Wait, I've already used that joke once before in a race cast. But Aston is going through into P4. He's going to make a double, use the attacking movements of Godly and Yunus to great effect. And what a capitalization on the attacks and defenses of the surrounding drivers. That is almost textbook.
Yeah, that was an unbelievable move. I mean, you've got so much action going on here, such a dynamic and lively racetrack, and Aston just able to focus up and push through. And I mean, look at that immediate breakaway here, immediately gaining time. And now we've got Yunus, Godly, and Green stacked up, and we'll see what they can do here coming into lap 7 with Godly on the inside. Yunus with a bit of a later break, and I think that's going to pay off pretty well for him. Yeah, commands the line. Very good maneuver, I think, from Yunos. But Green there, able to capitalize on Godly, taking a little bit of a worse line there, and the drivers are going to stack up line by line. We'll see, though. Godly still poking his head out right behind Green, and we'll see if we see him get up there on the inside. Doesn't look like it. Green is able to drive his line and get up there again right behind Yunos. We'll see if Yunos falls to the pressure or if he can hold on. Looks like, actually, of course, I call it and it happens. Yunos runs a little bit wide, looks like loses some grip, and Green just walks through the door there, moving up into P4 and on his way up potentially to a podium position.
I gotta say, this will be the recovery of the season. If he can make this work, this is going to be an insane result for him, especially when you consider the point that he was once at towards the start of the race. All of the chaos that unfolded around him, getting pushed all the way down from P6 to I think the last positions on the grid, and now slingshotting his way back up into P4. He's done exceptionally well at putting on the pressure on his opponents, as well as keeping the composure of his own. He's not faltered, even when he's had multiple very strong drivers in his wake and up ahead. He's been decisive, he's been patient, he knows when to go for the moves, and he makes sure that the other drivers are aware of his presence without putting himself in any danger that he can't peel back from. That's a great balance to have on the race circuit here, and it's served him absolutely flawlessly.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself. He knows when he needs to be patient. He knows when he needs to make a move, and clearly it's paid off for him. He's just careful enough. He's just aggressive enough, and he has been able to make such an incredible recovery as he kind of gets comfy here in P4 and works his way up, or at least tries to work his way up. Further towards the back of the pack, sort of mid-pack here, we're on the Dark POV, where we've got Dark, G-Man, Godly, and Yunos all relatively close here. We've got Dark closing the gap on G-Man. Does break a little bit earlier, but we'll see. G-Man runs a little bit wide, and Dark is going to be able to get right behind him. Possibly got a little bit of a better exit. Is going to try and poke off to the side. No, gets back in line, and we'll see. I don't think he's going to make a move. I think he's just going to try and hold that line. Yeah, doesn't go too wide there. Ends up actually getting a bit of a worse exit. Maybe a little bit nervous there to stay that close to G-Man. I'm not quite sure what he was going for on that move, but we'll see now if he can close the gap on that.
Can't help but feel a little bit bad here for G-Man, just considering he started up in P3 and he's now sat in P7 and under some serious pressure to be pushed even lower. It's a big statement on momentum. Once you start making moves up, you can keep that forward progress. Same thing goes in the opposite direction, however. If you start dropping positions, it can get to your head. It can sometimes lead you to make mistakes, overdrive the car more than you need to, and that can turn some positions into all the positions. And before you know it, you're at the back of the grid. So the last position you want to be in is last, funnily enough. That's why it's called that. But you can see here that he's still holding his own. He hasn't really fallen into that trap yet. He had a couple of moments where he was under the microscope from Dark, but seems to be holding well enough now. A little bit of a wobble, but he's back on track.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is just one of those situations where, you know, a driver can be put in a tough position and they can either, you know, crack under the pressure or, you know, use that as an opportunity. And I think we're just seeing Mr. G-Man just struggle a little bit here, you know, after a pretty rough start, and just kind of now sandwiched between two drivers under pressure from both the front and the rear, trying to get on Godly there, but Godly running a pretty good line, and he just isn't able to find a spot to pass, and it's going to be a case of, you know, can he just focus in, lock in, see if he can maybe learn a thing or two from Green's line there, from Green's racecraft rather, and just see if he can really focus in, find the spot where he's going to be able to pass. It actually does look like, you know, neither of the drivers are necessarily catching up to Yunos, and Yunos, if he's able to find the pace, is going to be able to walk away and secure a more comfortable fifth position for now, at least.
Well, Green in the link has focused on leveraging his car's strengths. He's going extremely aggressive on some of his lines. He's really trying to cut as much of the corner as he possibly can while still staying within the checkpoint bounds. And that is a crucial thing. With racing in Horizon, your only true track limits are the checkpoints.
Absolutely.
As long as you're within those, you have got a legal run. And that breaks the game wide open. Once you get past that barrier of quote-unquote intended lines, then you can suddenly unlock so much pace. But we're seeing with Dark right now, he's going to have a little bit of a charge, but he's completely boxed in and got nowhere to go. So Gearman's going to be on the inside. He's going to have command of the corner and the apex, but this is going to be very well held by Dark over here. He's going to have the apex heading into the left side. He's going to make it potentially one. G-Man is going to be pushed behind, nowhere to go. Similar position that he found himself out in last time. Godly with a wide wash and very much squeezed right to the left side of the track. There has to be a bit of forced yield from Dark there as the two of them effectively box the link in. He's going to get relegated to P8. Even Zaz is going to take a sniff and potentially a bite of the cherry. But now is going to be a crucial moment in Dark's race plan. He's got the two up there. He's seen that they're not afraid to box him in and almost not intentionally, but somewhat work together to keep him at bay. So he needs to strategize here. He needs to isolate them, get them one by one, and break up that formation if he wants to start marching towards the front half.
Yeah, I mean, you can see from Dark's driving here, he's holding grip, he's holding his lines, he's got the speed, he's got the pace, but just with both Godly and G-Man up in front, he is going to have a really tough time trying to make a pass on both of them, because those two, well, really, as we're seeing, those three are glued together. And yeah, Zaz coming up from behind is definitely going to be entering this fight here and potentially causing some more stress and struggle there for Dark. Godly now with the inside. Again, good line, good speed. Dark holding it as much as he can. Oh,
that's so clean from Godly. Sorry, that was just
no.
Between them. Forgive me.
No,
but it's a great switchback there, and then he's going to confirm it through the next corner. That was seriously smooth.
Yeah, that was a great play through turn 1 and turn 2 there. And yeah, Godly kind of locking in that P6 here, holding his own as Zaz comes in on the inside. And we'll see Dark, a little bit of a correction, unfortunately, runs wide at the second half of that. And Zaz gets the move. Dark just kind of getting bullied around here, just is not able to make any passes and is just kind of getting pushed around. Zaz now entering the fight, and we'll see if Dark can capitalize on this, come back up. Maybe we'll see Dark fall behind a little bit. We'll see.
I'll say Godly running in the early morning hours, and certainly time zones are not going to be a disruptor to that man's pace. That is seriously impressive. Quick check up on the front of the field, however. Fuwa is gone. Fuwa has broken away by at least 4 to 5 seconds now. So he's going to be in a similar position that we saw Corolla in the Split 2 race. It's going to be a good run for him. He's only won in the 23s as well, but the fight is very much focused on the mid-pack. As you can see, G-Man is going to get past Godly here. He's going to have a bit of a run heading into lap 13. Is there going to be any kind of counter-attack, any strategizing from him there? Or are we seeing a little bit of a faltering moment from Godly right now? Zaz is waiting in the wings. Dark is also going to be there, but he's not going to be the same kind of threat as he was last time. In fact, Dark has got himself a bit of space between those three up ahead of him, although I think this is deliberate. I think he's going to let them play each other out and then decide maybe by lap 15 or so what kind of moves he can make. Oh no, saying that, he's gone very aggressive. He went a bit too deep there, I think, on Zaz, and the two of them both are now going to lose some serious time on P6 and 7.
Yeah, that is a rough situation there for Dark and Zaz. I think you're right. I think Dark was potentially waiting there. He knew there was some chaos, knew that he might be able to capitalize, maybe get a double pass if Godly, Zaz, or G-Man were going to collide. But in a dark twist of fate, it was Dark and Zaz that collided. You can see the spin right there as we're on his POV. He's feeling frustrated. He knows that he's had some opportunities to make the move. Oh, and it looks like Zaz runs a little bit too wide there. and that's going to give Dark the opportunity to run up on the inside for turn 1, but can he do anything with it? Beautiful move, but Zaz is right there on the inside, holds the speed, and now we actually have Magnus entering the fray from behind, and we'll have to see how Magnus can add to this fight here as Dark continues to sit in the action. Currently sitting in front, able to hold the line, but Magnus and Zaz both chomping at the bit to get up ahead of him. And I think this is going to be an interesting fight. I think we're going to see Godly and G-Man possibly break away a little bit here, starting to pull ahead as Dark sits for now at the front of this pack. A bit of a good run here, but definitely under pressure there from both Magnus and Zaz.
Well, I'd hold fire for now because we have got a moment in the P4. Green has been absolutely chomping away at the time deficit since we last checked in on him. And he's now not only managed to get the breakaway from the other pack, but he is right on the back of Neko. He's a 23.7 is his best lap. So Green is currently running the fastest lap that we can see on the race. Even compared to Fuwa, it's a whole 0.2 faster. So this is where we're seeing him just push the limits, go full aggression, and we know for a fact he is hungry to get on that podium, on that top step. Neko has to go defensive. He hasn't really got a choice, and even to the point of contact, he does not want to let Green go by. He's having to play this extremely carefully here. He's holding off a podium position. He's going to arc a little bit wider, go for a little bit more of a swing to the inside. Green is going to go once again, as we see, so aggressive on those checkpoints. He can leverage the car's hitbox, use every tool in your toolbox. A lion uses all his strength, even when he's hunting rabbits, and this is going to be exactly the same because Neko is going to be defending with all his might, just as much as Green is pushing the envelope to the 101% mark.
Yeah, I mean, you can see Neko defending with his life here, but Green is chomping at the bit. Green is using every advantage he has, and I think we are seeing definitely that hitbox play a role here because he's able to get those good exits. He's able to just push a little bit wider, a little bit further in the inside on that track, and that is definitely going to play to his advantage. Neko's not going to give this one up easily. Neko putting up a hell of a defense. And time is closing in, and we've only got just a few laps left. And if Neko can hold his own and maintain his composure, then he might be able to hold on to this. But this is going to be a very, very stressful next couple of laps here for Neko. You can see Green running as wide as he possibly can, just getting as much speed, and is actually going to be able to maybe put himself up side by side there with Nekomancer. But what is Green going to be able to do coming into this double left-hander here? Neko's going to get a good run. Is Green going to get that switchback? Utilize the... Yes, there we go. And again, put side by side, but again on the outside. Plays a little bit of chicken there with the brakes. Runs as wide as he possibly can, driving beautifully. He knows exactly how much of the track he can use, and he is using all of it. Nekomancer, though, still holding his own. I mean, Green is throwing everything he has at Neko. Oh, and we might be seeing it here. Green gets a good exit out of the penultimate corner. Neko side by side with Green, but Green might have the advantage here. And we'll have to see if Green's able to lock it in on the final corner. Neko putting up a hell of a fight, but Neko just not able to do anything there. We can see he's not giving up yet. Is he going to go side by side? No, Green maintains the corner. And folks, what a battle with Green and Neko there. But I got to say, I think Green has locked this one in just in the nick of time.
That was brilliant showing from both of them there. They were absolutely duking it out to the bitter end. Neko, nerves of steel, and refusing to give up until the bitter end there. And even now is trying their best to mimic Green's lines as best as one can in order to stay in proximity. This is a driver who knows how to fight. These two really put on a brilliant show for us here. And I am seriously impressed with the kind of moves they did, especially when you're peeling side by side and they both know exactly what line each other's going to take, exactly what space they have available. It's surgical, it's millimeter precision these two are running in. And while in the end, green is going to take top honors, Neko, I am seriously impressed by.
Yeah, I think that is really some of the better driving we've seen, not just today, but this whole season. I mean, the drivers literally using every tool at their disposal, knowing exactly what their car can and can't do, knowing exactly how much of the track they can use, and Green just putting the pressure on and only making a move when he knew he was able to commit to it. But seriously, massive props there to Neko for holding him off for that long, playing a really defensive but also still, really clean line. And as you can see, still here holding his own, not just conceding quite yet. He is still driving his best, driving extremely hard, even though Green's got this one pretty locked in. Neko has given us quite a show today.
Yeah, it's a brilliant show, and certainly a testament to both of them that they really are giving it absolutely their all. They will not accept anything less than their best, and that is going to be exemplified perfectly with that. But speaking of their absolute best, there has been one driver who has taken top honors and has taken the race by storm, almost too quietly for us to fully appreciate. But coming around the final corner now, Fua is coming up to the line. They had pole, they have the win of the race, and they have gone and taken a dominant showing as they're now crossing the line. We see rest of the field also having a bit of a battle further down. This is Dark going for a last minute's end on Godly here and seeing what he can make in the dying moments of the race. Up to the line, it's going to be a close call here. Is there going to be any Hail Mary moves? Finally into the final corner, no such moves. Godly is going to hold the P8 and Dark is making his way through, but the rest of the field are going to follow suit now, and what a run.
Wow, what an incredible showing for that first race. That is what you get with Split 1 there. I mean, just a perfect blend of pace and racecraft. These guys do it better than anybody else. That is for sure. And yeah, Fua just quietly running away with it. Although, let me jump over here to the casting booth. I gotta fix my thing here. Let's put that back there, and we'll bring up the results here because I want to say I think it was Green that might have had the fastest lap there. Let me pull this up.
It was Green, 23.790. He's only 13 milliseconds faster than the second place, which was actually Aston.
Yeah.
So those two were running really solid pace. And Neko, despite, say, only having a 24.3, still very fast, keep in mind. Still very fast best lap time. Was running that consistently to the point where they were able to hold until the very end the podium and still take a really strong P4.
Yeah, no, that was an incredible showing from Neko. And I mean, that's where you can see that it's not just about your raw hot lapping pace. It's about racecraft. And Neko, I think, showed us some great racecraft here and really held his own. Got out early, got a good run in the first half. And then, yeah, like we've been saying, held his own against Green for as long as he could. But Green, I think at the end of the day, just had the skill and had the racecraft. And that gave us such a fun battle to watch. And yeah, congratulations for Green for making, an incredible recovery on that one and working his way from the back of the pack. And yeah, just showing us what he can do, showing us the best of ESV, the best of the Link as well, getting a Link in the podium.
Yeah, and of course, it's important to remember start positions relative to the finish too. So we had some, of course, big winners. You had Unos going all the way up into P5 from a P10 start. You had some who stayed relatively the same. So Dark and Godly, they only traded a position between them. They went 7 to 8, 8 to 7. Minimal changes there. Green gaining up from P6 into P3. Fua and Aston staying equal on their position. Neko staying equal on position as well. And then a couple of drops. So we did have G-Man going from 3rd down to 6th. We had Yang Serrana heading down from P5 to P10, but who knows? This is going to be, of course, the reverse grid race now, and the wild card of the session, because Godley is going to be starting at the front here.
Yeah, we're gonna have actually looks like an LDAC lockout there for the starting grid with Godly, Dark, and G-Man starting up at the front. We know these guys are quick. We know they can put down some serious pace. Green in a bit of a advantage, not starting 8th. We'll be able to start kind of right there in the middle of the pack, and yeah, we'll see if Green can make a repeat of the first race and move his way back up the pack, or if now with kind of a shakeup of the starting grid, will he have a little bit more trouble working his way through?
Well, the work is going to be cut out for them, as we've always seen with the race on the reverse grid. You've got a interesting dynamic going. You've got the ones who came out strong of race 1, now having to fight their way through traffic to reassume those kind of positions. You've got the ones who are going to be pushed up from the P6s, P8s to podium spots all of a sudden, and being completely flipped in terms of position and now having to run on the defensive. They are going to have a much different challenge. And then for the races P9 through to P12, of course, they aren't included in the reverse grid swap, but they do still have a chance to ride on the coattails of those who are fighting upward and pushing for positions. They can almost, kind of like a vulture in a sense, they can pick up the scraps of whatever those faster runners are cooking.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, just as a bit of a update, we did have Split 2, Race 2 wrap up their race. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the final results here for that event. And let me zoom in on that so everybody can see it. Looks like we've got Luke taking the lead there on that one. Luke with the win, Silver Corolla in 2nd, and Noctrion in 3rd for Race 2, Split 2. Gav, our Link representative, this is a screenshot from Gav there, you can see in P4. And then we've got Hootie, Oceanics, Sunken, Track Day, J-Call, and Troot there at the back. Yeah, that is your results there. Unfortunately, weren't able to catch the second half of that cast, but there you can see the finishing results here.
I was able to catch a couple of key moments. I know that Troot was struggling at a couple of stages. I think he either had a couple of misses or just a couple of poor lines that pushed him back in a pretty major way. But yeah, so some good battles all around. We did, of course, catch the first half, and then we saw minimal trading towards the front end of the pack. From the point that we left the broadcast, things stayed mostly static throughout. I was sort of keeping subtle tabs at the same time as we were going through Split 1 and seeing those first few laps unfold on the cast side. But they said great racing all around. Say Sunken with a good recovery as well, of course, coming out of that previous one in P10. Bonnie unfortunately gets disconnected, so a sad one for that, because they were running at the front. They were running at the front up until that point, so it was a brutal sort of hand being dealt. But great racing all around as always.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, you can see in the pace the finishing screenshot tells a bit of a story with Troot and Bonnie's pace being towards the front there, but just ended up towards the back because of some unfortunate misses or, of course, getting disconnected. With that said, though, let me throw it back over here because it looks like we're getting started for Race 2 of Split 1, the final race, ladies and gentlemen, of HTCC Season 2. Looks like it's about to kick off here, and I'm excited to see what kind of action we're going to get.
Well, we're certainly going to get a very aggressive first few laps. That always happens with the reverse grids. You see the drivers who started at the front and ended in the podiums previously now going to be having much more cars around them and much more urgency to get back to that clean space that they so desperately yearn for. So we're going to see a lot of battling in laps 2 to 4 in particular, I think. We're going to see a lot of them going
Yeah.
potentially 2, 3 wide. There may be some contact, hopefully not. Hopefully it can be avoided. But there is always going to be a little bit of a fender bender heading through those first couple of sections.
Yeah, I mean, we saw clearly a lot of action in the first race based on the quali grid, which is usually when things run a little bit cleaner, when everyone's kind of lined up based on pace. But now with the reverse split, we'll see if we get a little bit more chaos, or maybe the drivers are going to, learn their lesson a little bit from that first race and clean it up in the first couple of laps. But either way, like you said, I think towards the beginning, though, those first few laps, we're going to see a lot of action, a lot of battles throughout the entire grid. Thankfully, looks like we are starting with a full grid.
Yep, full grid, full steam ahead. All 12 going to be making it in. Thankfully, no dramas, at least it seems that way. And with the field, I'm kind of nervous a little bit here.
I know, I am aggressively knocking wood right now, just to, whatever
we've
good luck
seen our
charm.
previous luck with reverse grids.
Oh, let's see. So again, I think maybe we're on the Magnus POV at the moment. I think maybe we'll stick with this POV for now. Get that one towards the back there, and see what these drivers can do. Magnus will be starting P11 there for this race.
There's Magnus P11, Strix 12, and then a complete inversion. So remember, Godly taking, I think, the top spot, and you see him zooming down, trying to get himself into that position so we're ready for formation come to the final sector. And then, yeah, a little bit of an interesting shake-up. So remember, Fuwa needs to start in P8, having won the previous round.
Exactly.
He's going to have a difficult job of getting round, because Fuwa, we know, is a driver who has immense pace, but needs the conditions to be in their favor to unlock it. They're a driver that relies on a very specific condition in their favor. Otherwise, it's very easy for them to tilt or go under pressure and maybe waver in terms of that pace and performance. So wonder how well they'll fare trying to undo the reverse grid as we start things up.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be an interesting one to watch here with Fuwa, because a lot of these other drivers are fairly battle hardened now after that first race, but Fuwa was just able to walk away with it and drive clean. And although that was obviously to his advantage in the first race, he's not quite as practiced up on the racecraft for this track coming into race 2, and he's going to need to put on a pretty good show here and show us that he can not only drive fast, but also lock in some passes. So that is definitely going to be a driver to watch.
Oh, here we go. Final corner now, and for the final time, both here at the track and here in HTCC Season 2, we round the final corner. The track is hot here. It's the finale, it's the reverse grid, and everyone is going to be bringing their A game up to the line, and it is go. Full steam ahead, and an immediate jump from so many in the grid. As you can see already, that aggression in full swing. Slide from Neko as Tech Aston and Green are going to be either side of them. Fuwa going on the aggressive themselves as they are firing it through the inside line and trying to get those early pushes and early positions. Yang Serrano has a chance for redemption here, seeing where they can pocket some positions in the early game, and a bit of a concertina effect as this is going to be Fuwa going into the back of Unos and Green, themselves having a bit of a struggle as there is only so much space on this track. They are all fighting for the same pocket of track here, and
we're continuing the technical difficulties here. There we go.
G-Man is dark alongside as well. It's all kicking off front of the grid, back of the grid. There really isn't a single point you can look because there's action happening everywhere. Aston on the back of G-Man, for instance. Dark and Godly still running fairly close, but we might see some major moves at the front now.
Yeah, I mean, I could hot swap to any one of these POVs and we would be seeing a lot of action. This is one of the most stacked grids we've ever seen coming into the third lap. I mean, every single driver here is close and under pressure from someone else. We've got Fua and Strix side by side. Fua locks it in, though, gets the pass, and moves his way up. I think that's Serrano right there, and we'll see if he makes a move right away. And we've got, I think that's Zaz poking out there from Magnus, but Magnus is going to have the inside. I think I'm going to move up just a little bit in the grid order here. We'll jump up and jump over to the green POV as Green runs a very aggressive inside line.
G-Man's off.
And G-Man is off. Holy cow. We got some drama coming into lap 3. I cannot believe how close the entire grid is already. Unfortunately, yeah, G-Man there pushed down to P7. Green in P4 with Dark, Aston, and Godly still holding on to that top 3. But none of them are safe here. Every single driver under pressure. Holy cow, we've got an incredibly stacked grid. This is incredible.
Yeah, we had a little bit of drama in the start of lap 3. Godly and Dark came into contact. Godly being on the sand on the outside edge, and Dark just going into him and it's sort of taking that top spot, which has of course now affected their momentums. Godly lost the position to Aston, is now under some serious threat from Green here, as those two are going to be coming to blows here. And through the final corner, bit of contact as Green is going to be following his way through behind the Elantra. He's stuck between himself and familiar rival Neko from the last round. We'll see if we can see a bit of position being leveraged here from Neko as we see him peek to the right, then to the left, see what's available. But I think it would be wise of Neko here to actually hold off. Honestly, he's going to be fighting with Godly. So Neko has a chance here to just let them wear each other out and then react to the outcome of the battle ahead.
Yeah, I absolutely think that's a good play. I mean, we're watching Neko able to hold pace here for now while Green and Godly battle it out. And I think you're right. I think it's just a chance of biding his time and waiting and then seeing if he can capitalize on the pass there. We can see Green running on the inside. So, not quite side by side there with Godly. I thought maybe we were going to see a pass, but you can see Green already kind of up to his old business, just maximizing the track, doing everything he can, driving extremely clean, but just maximizing that track. And we'll see. We can see Neko kind of closing the gap a little bit, able to get in that draft range. And Godly still holding on to that last podium spot. But I think it's only a matter of time with both Green and Neko breathing down his neck.
Right to track. And he's stretching the track just as much as he can as Green does. Like, he's going to the very outside of the track. He's going to the very edges of the course, forcing Green to have to yield where he isn't significantly alongside enough to warrant the track space being afforded. So Godly is playing Green's game a little bit too well for Green's liking at this point, and Neko, like we were saying earlier, he can bide his time, let these two duke it out, because these two are familiar with each other's strategy and are going to be pressuring one another into a mistake. That's where Neko needs to wait and then capitalize, rather than force something now.
Gotta just jump in here because we've got a little bit of a shift at the top. We've got Aston, who was able to get side by side there with Dark, but put himself on the outside, which gave Dark the opportunity to come back and regain that first position. But we have got Aston absolutely breathing down Dark's neck, and we might see a change up at the top here. I wanted to get in there and make sure I focused on that. But for now, oh, and we do have actually Dark making a little bit of a mistake, having to correct. And are we going to see both Aston and Dark go side by side? Yeah, definitely trying to play that as defensively as he can. Yeah, late run back out to the outside. You can see him practicing. Oh, and then just barely makes the checkpoint. Runs extremely wide out of that corner. I cannot believe he managed to secure that. Incredible save there from Dark. And not only manages to just save the checkpoint, but saves his position as well and holds off Aston. And I'm going to bring it back here now to Neko in P5, where we can see kind of the action going on at the top. Green has passed Godly, and now Neko, as we were kind of both saying earlier, Neko capitalizing on it and getting the pass on Godly as well. and moving back up into P4.
Yeah, well, now it's going to be a waiting game. Oh, saying that, Dark make a major mistake at the front. He's washed out extremely wide through the second sector. Aston's going to... the reaches of Green as well. We saw it last time, and we're seeing it again. Green gets some space, maximizes the track, runs the 23s, and immediately he's on pressure, on pace, towards the front. So Dark, side by side, final straight here, heading into this final right-hander. He's going to hold the line. He's going to hold the narrow. Dark could get a little bit later on the brakes here and keep it side by side. He's going to do just that, squeezing to the very edge of the line. We've seen how these two hold their nerve as we head through into lap 7 now. Left-hander, Dark could have a chance to make something work here, but he yields off a bit. Green has the speed, and he uses that to take the move into turn 2.
Incredible move there from Green. Yeah, I think we just saw Dark back off a little bit there and yield it to Green. And now Green is going to be making a run for that P1 position early on. I mean, again, you know, we've seen him work his way through the pack with unbelievable precision. And even though there's definitely a little bit of distance there between Green and Aston, there is definitely enough time, I think, for Green to close the gap as long as he can match pace.
It's about matching pace at this point and just finding a good balance. So right now, we look to the front, for instance, we're on board with Green. He needs to lock in like he did before and start running in those 123s. He's going to have to close the gap. And I think he can do that within the next 5 laps or so. But remember, Aston is also just as capable of putting down some serious pace. 13 milliseconds was their fastest time split. Remember that first race and how they both had their own pocket? They weren't getting that close to each other. We'll see how they handle this upcoming situation. But looking a bit further down, we can see that G-Man is going to be in a bit of a sticky spot himself. He's stuck between Dark and Necromancer. So he has to decide, is he going to go aggressive, try and take the podium at this point? Or is he going to take a fairly traditional racing line in order to hold off Dark? Because any...
Oh, we lost audio again there. We'll see if we can get that back. Yeah, Dark currently sitting P5. G-Man, we'll see if he, yeah, unfortunately, Sappy's mic just cut out. I still hear him, or at least I did still hear him, but for some reason it was not bringing it up on the mic there. But yeah, we've got Dark kind of breathing down G-Man's neck, and I know somebody in chat was asking about Master Fua, and I think it's a great time actually to swap over to that as, wow, we just there caught it as he goes for the pass on Serrana. Gets that one locked in, and Fua finally able to kind of make some moves. We saw him obviously just break away at the start of the race, and now he's got quite a long way. You can see there's you know, as Sappy would say, a bit of a tale of two battles, or a tale of two packs, or whatever. But yeah, we're seeing a front pack break away there, and then Master Fua kind of leading the back pack for now. But we'll see. He's got half of the race left to try and close that gap and get up there towards Dark and G-Man.
Well, we only see two real states when it comes to Fua. We see that calm and balance, or we see that aggressive push. And clearly we're seeing the latter here, as he's got a lot of time to make up, and we know he's capable of the pace if qualifying is anything to go by. The rest of the field are nothing to be snubbed, but we have got Fua, of course, coming out of the first race in a dominant position. I think you were right to call earlier that the rest of the field may be battle-hardened, where Fua kind of got stuck in the weeds a little bit, heading into this reverse grid order. But looking at the current times and looking at the pace that Fua's putting down, it's looking solid. Of course, got the delta in the top left side, and they are running about 0.3 of a second faster. So now they've got a bit of open track space. They can start to lock in and claw away at that time, as we will see Dark is going to be helping them out through some fighting with G-Man and the Necromancer just up ahead. all their squabbling is going to just allow Fuwa in his own space to reel in and get closer. He's already got a breakaway from Yang Serrano.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Fuwa's putting down some serious pace here, beating his last lap time, and I think it's just a matter of does he have enough time. But I do think that with Dark, G-Man, and Neko pretty stacked up here and not able to maximize their pace and maximize the line because there's going to be a little bit of fighting between them, I think that is just going to give Fuwa the opportunity to push up and just make time and maybe see if he can get some passes towards the end of the race.
Well, I'm just checking in on the top as well. We've got Green, who's currently running 23.796, but he's not gaining on Aston. So we're seeing a repeat of the previous. And then further down, we see that Dark and G-Man are going to be coming to blows. They're going side by side. G-Man goes on the return, and Dark is now waiting for a chance to make an attack. We could see him peel to the right side. We could see him try and leverage something heading into lap 11 as well. But he's going to opt to hold back a little bit more because G-Man doesn't really have many places to go. He's got, of course, a little bit of space, but as soon as he starts to get any meaningful break, he's going to be running up against Neko and having a whole nother problem on his plate. Dark is relying on that right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, G-Man, nowhere to go right now, sandwiched between two drivers. We saw, I don't know if that was quite a check there from Dark, still driving well. But, yeah, Dark breathing down his neck. Like you said, Green is in a very comfortable P2 right now, but looks like Aston is holding some great pace, and time is closing in. We're kind of entering the second half of the race here. And there's a good few seconds between Green and Aston up at the top of the field. And I just don't know if Green is going to be able to pick up that much pace over Aston with just a handful of laps left. So I think the battles are going to be in the mid-pack here. I mean, you can see, looking at that mini-map on the left, you can still see overall, really no one has a massive breakaway. The entire grid is still incredibly close in the grand scheme of things for the middle of about a 30-minute race, which is incredible to see. But yeah, I think we might see our top two positions lock in, and it's just going to be a battle for that last podium position. G-Man and Dark there running a little bit wide, letting Neko get a run on it, and it's going to be a battle here between G-Man and Dark. What's going to happen in this final corner? G-Man has the outside, and both drivers stay side by side through the last corner, both of them holding some great momentum. And G-Man's now going to have the inside here coming into turn one. But if Dark can brake late enough, doesn't look like it, G-Man locks back into that position. Oh, but gets a bit of a rough exit. A little bit of contact there from Dark and G-Man. And G-Man still holding position. But Dark, I think, is running out of patience and trying to get that pass.
He really wants the position at this point. You can see the frustration just building and building and building as he's just trying to chase down. He's trying everything now. He's changing cams. He's just trying to get some kind of advantage. And it's not happening. G-Man is really holding his line, holding his own. And this is getting under Dark's skin. He can't tilt, though, because that's when he's going to start making mistakes, overdriving the car. And as we've talked about in the past, starting to lose significant time. But someone who's gained it is Fuwa. Fuwa has actually got so much closer to these two, both through their battling and through the fact that they are just lapping consistently high pace, consistently clean runs. And you can see a 24.0. That is a very good time to be running in race trim. So even better if they're now able to start closing in on the rest of the runners. Before, though, a quick note, I really do think Aston deserves a bit of love here. He's kind of sort of snuck under the radar in a way, but he's really held his own. Green is putting down some absolutely blistering pace, and Aston is in fact further away than we saw last time I checked in visually.
No, I would fully agree with that. I mean, I'm keeping an eye on that
POV.
cam. Oh, sorry, you cut out for a second there. But yeah, we're checking in on the green POV, and Aston is just holding pace. I mean, we gave Green quite a bit of good screen time there, in the last race, and we saw how good of a driver he is. Oh, and then Green unfortunately just missed. Oh no, commenters cursed him. Oh, and that is going to be a major upset for Green, pushing him down to the mid-pack there, P6. And then we can also see Master Fua going for Dark there, pushing up into P4. Now we've got Necromancer in P2, G-Man taking that last podium spot, and Master Fua gaining a free position from that Green miss. And up in a pretty nice P4 here. Wow, some real drama there for Green. That is unfortunate to see.
Well, consider the trap sprung, as that is going to be a great blessing there for the likes of Fuart Dark and, to say, Aston in particular, because he's now got a massive breakaway. He looks nigh on untouchable. Short of a mistake of his own, Aston, I think, has this in the bag, and he's really held it to a T here. It's seriously impressive what they've been able to do. Neko as well, having a similar story, going from strength to strength. You have those second and third spots, of course, going to Neko and to G-Man, with Bua waiting in the wings. We'll see what time they're able to close, because a best of 24 versus a best of a 24.4, about half a second is quite a significant time gap.
It
so
is.
G-Man is going to have his work cut out for him. Let's hope that he can put on some defensive driving. Even if Buwa can get close, he still needs to get by.
Yeah, and while we're here on the Dark POV, Green is still not out of the race yet. I think, obviously at this point out of a podium spot, but still able to make a shakeup. Might be able to put some pressure there on Dark and potentially Fua, depending on how much pace he can make up. But yeah, I mean, going back to what you were saying, not only was Techt driving extremely well with Green behind him and putting on just such an incredible amount of pace, now that he's got that breakaway, I think Aston is free and clear to lock in that win. And we've got Dark running wide, and there goes Green in turn 2 there, making up some space already, and is going to position himself right behind Fua. We've got a couple of extremely fast drivers here, kind of towards the front of that mid-pack, and we might see some action towards the last quarter of the race because of that. I'm going to move over here to the Green POV, actually.
Well, I think Fua now knows he's on the timer, because he's got Green in the wings. He knows the kind of pace that he's capable of, and Fua needs to get that consistency down. Ideally, get G-Man in between the two, because that kind of roadblock will be just the amount of time buying that he needs to lock that podium position in. So Fua's under the wire here, and he's on the clock. He's got about 2 laps realistically to get past G-Man if he wants to retain a podium chance. Otherwise, Green is going to close in. We've seen what he's done in both previous races and previous laps, and this is going to be no different. You can see he's already reverted to that highly aggressive line, just in the pure pursuit of time and of space on the course in order to reel them in. Fua is going to go for a bit of a different line here. He's closing on the back of G-Man in the MG, and it will be a case of, if not now, then when we go for it. He's aggressive on his moves when he does commit, so let's see if he picks the right spot.
Yeah, I mean, it's going back to what you were saying just a minute ago, it's really impressive to see, visually you can just watch Green focus in and just maintain that concentration and really just maximize everything about the car. But I'm going to jump over here to Fua for the time being, because we now have Neko under some serious pressure, actually. Not really able to break away from G-Man or Fua. And I think we might see everything here between these 4 drivers, Green, Fua, G-Man, and Neko. It might all come to a head within the next couple of laps, and there are only a couple of laps left. That last podium spot, no, actually, 2 podium spots are still completely up for grabs here, which is just incredible to see.
Well, Fuwa's breaking into the 23.9s now, so certainly locking in terms of that pace and looking to get some consistency in. G-Man is going to be wobbling across the track a little bit. In fact, we see a bit of a yield coming in from Fuwa. He has no choice as there isn't the space left for his car to go, and every kind of moment like this is going to be cannon fodder for Green. Now right on the back of Fuwa here, challenging for the space on the P4. This is going to be close. This is going to be seriously aggressive movements here in the next lap or so. Aston's got it, he just needs to bring it home. But for Neko, G-Man, Fuwa, Green, they're all in this tight, compact space, and somebody is going to crumble under the pressure, if not go for a major move to upset this order.
Yeah, these drivers are going to have to be extremely careful with what moves they make and when, because we've only got about a lap and a half left, and any deviation to the racing line here is going to come with a price. And, you know, as you can see, we've got Green breathing down Fua's neck, and then Neko still. We know Neko can defend. Neko did a great job defending against Green there in race 1, but can he defend against 3 drivers here now? I mean, you've got G-Man right behind Green, looking like he's kind of poking his head out there, making a look, seeing if he's going to go for it. Gets up side by side. No, last minute, gets right behind there from Fuwa, tries to maximize his speed. Fuwa runs a little bit deeper into the sand. And guys, here we come into the last lap. Green trying to position himself on the inside, and Fuwa ends up running wide, goes off into the grass, but then gets right back onto his line, tries to kind of close that one out, but Green is able to capitalize it. Oh man, like we said there, guys, one mistake is all it takes, and Green is now up into P4, but does he have enough to close in on the podium? And we do also, by the way, have G-Man, who was able to get the pass on Neko. We had kind of a twofer there. G-Man now up in P2, Neko P3. And we'll see if this is where we end up, or if there's any action left in the last half of the last lap of the last race here for Season 2.
And Fuwa misses! So they are going down into P10. That is going to be all but a final nail in a coffin for this race effort. Unfortunate to see, just cracking under the pressure. We saw that mistake at the back of the final lap. And now it's going to be a closed, open and shut case. Aston goes around the final corner to cross the line. And then G-Man is going all the way to the end. And a Green in P4.
There we go. Unbelievable run. Here we've got a side-by-side coming up. Who's going to take this one between Fuwa and Strix? Looks like Fuwa's just able to eke out a what is that? I think a P9 at the end there after missing that checkpoint. Oh, sorry, P10, my mistake. Looks like Strix ended up getting that one. Holy cow, guys. Races 1 and 2. Yeah, Sappy's getting Comcasted a little bit. Races 1 and 2, we saw a lot of last-minute shakeups, some last-minute missed checkpoints, which is such an, I mean, it's such a bummer for both, for Fuwa there, who at least had that position fairly locked in, but maybe was just pushing it a little bit too hard, trying to, you know, pass Green again, and paid the price for it. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna bring us back to the casting booth here. That is a wrap on Season 2. We had some technical issues. We had to work through it. I want to give everybody in chat a huge shout out for working with us through that, and you know, all the the fun we had to deal with today. What a way to end out the season, right? What a way to end out the season. I mean, it couldn't have happened any other way, Sappy.
Oh, let's say you've got a little bit of everything to round things off. You've got split 2, you've got split 1, you've got the technical consistency of a hamster wheel with some gaffer tape. You've got it all. It's unfortunately sometimes it happens, but this is the way you do it. And as I say, we make it through. The drivers were patient through it all, and say the split 2 guys were really good about it. Apparently, about the sort of change up to the schedule last minute, but seriously. a great finale. Of course, I could have asked for a better finale in a technical front, but the racing didn't disappoint. The racing
made up for it.
Absolutely immaculate.
Yeah, I mean, I really do think that's some of the most exciting racing we've seen this entire season. I mean, Sappy, you've been here for a lot of the races, so you've got a good perspective on that as well. That was, I mean, seriously, just action throughout the whole field, throughout almost every race. I mean, we saw a couple of breakaways, of course, but yeah, it's always exciting to see those podium spots still up for grabs up until the very last lap. And I'm so glad that even though we did have some technical issues, the racing was able to deliver in droves. And I'm so excited. You know, I've said this a few times now. I'm so excited to go back and just look at the highlights and check out some different POVs. And yeah, what an incredible race. By the way, yeah, Neko, I see Neko in chat. Unbelievable performance there from Neko. I mean, come on, you got to be happy with that. A podium finish there on the last race is nothing to be ashamed of, Neko.
Yeah, like you operate in these conditions under that amount of pressure, and to keep things running in the way you have. And really, this can apply for all of the drivers. Split 2, Split 1, Split 3, unfortunately not getting broadcasted, but this applies all the same. You got to perform under pressure with these races. So just to be able to do that and keep it clean is a task. To do it and keep the level of pace that we've seen from Split 1 is even more of a challenge. And race in, race out, it's never disappointed. It has always been absolutely immaculate. So to all the drivers, and I see the few of you who are molding in the chat, to those ones especially, because it sounds like you need to hear it, that was phenomenal. That race was phenomenal to watch and to see the skill on display. So give yourself a bit of credit and give yourself a pat on the back because you've earned it.
No, absolutely. I think I hope you guys all walk away from this one proud of your driving ability, because I have just been in shock and awe, especially on this last race, watching you guys drive so unbelievably well. It's always so fun, especially, you know, even though there's only 6 race events in the season, it's so fun watching the drivers progress throughout the season. And a lot of you guys were here in season 1, and some of you guys have been here even since season 0, our beta season. It's been so fun just watching everyone progress. And I mean, yeah, again, going back to Neko, you know, finishing, I mean, just thinking of your like season 0, season 1 positioning, and then moving up here to a podium finish on the last race of season 2. All you guys did so incredibly well. So yeah, I just want to kind of get into the wrap up phase here. Folks, this was the final race of season 2. I cannot thank you all enough. Everyone who's participated in this in any capacity. Of course, the drivers, you're the reason that all of this is happening in the first place. And you know, you guys are the show. You guys are the show, and you gave us a show this season. I mean, season 1 was fantastic. But I think everyone kind of pulled out the stops a little bit this time, and we saw some unbelievable racecraft throughout some of the races, throughout really all the races this season. Yeah, the bar has officially been raised when it comes to the Horizon competitive scene. I mean, it's unbelievable just watching the drivers and the whole scene as a whole progress kind of throughout the years. So yeah, massive shout out to all the drivers. Obviously, massive shout out to the staff that helped out. As you guys saw a little bit today, things can get pretty hectic behind the scenes, and sometimes that comes up to front stage. But you know, we pulled together, we called an audible, we made the decisions we needed to make, and you know, the show must go on, as they say. And you know, like I said, wouldn't be HTCC without it. But yeah, massive shout out to Magnus and KS for kind of leading the charge on the management and you know, race day management side of things. Cannot thank Ami enough for the graphics and everything, working with me so much on that, and just being the Forza competitive racing graphics wizard. I do want to shout Ami, if you want to put a link to your store, by the way, Ami has HTCC officially licensed merch, which is unbelievably cool. Super, super high quality stuff. So yeah, Ami, if you have a link ready, go ahead and drop that in the chat. It's incredible art. And if you want to, support Ami and say thank you for kind of helping put the whole show together and giving us, these cool, there you go, these cool spinners, for everything. There you go. KS has got the link. Yeah. Linktree.com/AmiWorks or linkter.e/AmiWorks. That doesn't really play out as well.
Linkter E.
Yeah, linkter.e/AmiWorks. But yeah, guys, go check that out. Support Ami for making these amazing graphics and everything. And yeah, thank you everybody for watching. This has been, it's been so much fun just casting in front of a very positive audience. That's a lot of you guys are competitors or are members of the Forza scene or the competitive scene in one way or the other. And it's I don't know, I think it's the bright side of the community. And it even though these events are stressful to a certain degree, and as Magnus is mentioning in chat, it's certainly stressful. We're all still coming together and like having a good time, and yeah, it's such a good showing of the community as a whole. So yeah, that's mostly everything I have to say. I don't know, Sappy, if you want to say anything else before we kind of wrap out the show and run the season 2 credits for the very last time.
I don't really have much to add, other than thank you for having me. It's great fun to finally be able to get involved. I've wanted to be involved since, let's say, the start, but they finally getting a proper chance to. And yeah, it's been great to be here. It's been great to be fun, and I'm gonna continue yapping about Forza related things, but no, this season's been brilliant. Yeah, no, and
I think it's been such a fun season. Yeah, I'm glad we've had you, Sappy, for half of the races. It's great.
Perfectly balanced,
as all things should be. So yeah, folks, with that, one last just massive thank you to everyone. I appreciate you all, and I don't know. I don't know. I mean, we'll see if this button gets clicked or not. No. Thank you all for being here, and we'll see you.
Thank you, guys.
Whenever we see. Oh, there's Magnus in the chat dropping thank you. Magnus, do you have anything did you want to say, or did you just drop in to say thanks? The floor is yours if you want it.
Guys, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. And see you in season 3, hopefully. It was we didn't end this one on necessarily the highest of highs with the technical issues today that are unfortunately out of our control. But at least I think the racing was great, and for those of you who stuck around, I hope you enjoyed both the racing if you were a competitor and the racing on screen if you were in here watching the cast. As always, thank you everyone for participating. Thank you for spectating. Like, without you guys, this wouldn't really be a thing, because hosting races for one convoy is no fun, so having you guys...
And the BBC striking hard today.
Definitely better at organizing events than I am at racing in them myself. And yeah, thank you guys so much. Thank you to all the guys that helped me run this. Thank you to Hoki for lending his name to this and well, sitting down and getting this set up with me. Thank you especially, even though he isn't here today, to Mars for being one of the driving forces behind Season 2.
Absolutely.
I think without him, well, kicking us in the back, so to speak, I'm not sure this would have happened in such a timely manner or at all. And yeah, even though right now I'm very done with Forza events because of, well, the tech issues today, there will be a Season 3. Maybe not in this format, maybe something else. Ideas are plenty, but time is short and patience is short, so we'll see what I and the rest of the guys come up with, and yeah. Thank you guys. I hope to see you for Season 3.
We need some time to forget the pain before we move on to Season 3 first. But yeah, no, seriously. Thank you all for being here. Guys, I'm going to close it out. I'm going to swap us over to the credits. Thank you, and I'll see you all for Season 3. Bye!